question.
So
Maybe
all
they're
those
sending
people
into
that build
space
those
under
parts.
the dome.
So all those people that build those parts for these rockets and taking people up into space, that's not real, right?
I'm sure people build the rockets, and it's compartmentalized, isn't it? They only get told to build a rocket.
They could be going into space under the dome, possibly, but it wouldn't be space beyond the firmament.
Well, maybe it's much more than what we've been told. I don't know. I think this is what they're trying to keep from us, is whatever we live in or on is beyond our comprehension.
Hey,
I don't think we can even understand what it is. And they've come up with all these stories to just confuse us.
Can I race one of those cars you built?
You can, mate, yeah? £1,600 a day.
Oh, that's it. So I can do it tomorrow. A bunch of my friends can come get all of them and just take them out to like a destruction derby race or something. Is that cool? Can we do that?
We had an American wanted to race one, but the problem was so
I can't do it?
The governing body here doesn't recognise American race licenses, so you have to do an ARTS test when you get here.
I gotta have a license?
No, you need a race license. You've got to have a race license. We'd got an American guy all set up. He was coming over to do several different formulas. Must have had some money.
So
it was all set up until we asked him about his license.
Right.
And he said, well, I've got an American, whatever your governing body is, I don't know.
I don't think this car exists.
We got hold of the MSA, and they said they don't recognise American race licenses. So he had to come here and do what we call an ARDS test. It's like a proficiency test. Pass a medical and then apply for his license.
Brian, I think Ranty wants to talk about space.
Going to Antarctica.
What?
No,
about space. Yes.
No, I just can't believe that he sold out to Apollo.
Can't help it, mate. That's the only way he can claim it back on his as a advertising expenditure. That's what these people do.
How does it feel to be paid by Apollo?
It don't matter, does it? If that's what I ain't going to tell you what he does, because then you'll start fucking doxing him. His business is called Apollo.
Why are you hiding it?
Hiding what?
What's going on?
What am I
going on with the cars?
What do you mean? What's really going on with the cars?
You have to fill out those paperwork. You got to take all these classes. You got to go.
Is this honestly the best you can fucking do when somebody blows your fucking argument to absolute smithereens?
The car. I don't want to take it to the moon.
No, you don't. You're talking shit. You haven't got the money it takes. Easy as.
I just want to take it around the track one or twice.
You haven't got these people's money. End of story. Come up with a budget of 25 grand or more, and then we'll talk. Until you can come up with that, there's no discussion needed.
I thought Randy wanted to talk about space. I brought up rockets.
No. I just wanted to know why he was suckling the teat of Apollo.
I've told fucking C4 probably a dozen times now. The people that rent that car out, their business is called Apollo something. I ain't telling you what it is. And they put that on there as advertising and obviously claim it back through their fucking tax as advertising.
Do you know something? I don't think any of us care. We're not really bothered. We're not
you
even
asked me a question.
I'm not bothered about it. I don't think anybody else is.
Why did you ask then?
Because
Why
it
the fuck
triggers
did you
you.
ask?
Because you're so paranoid in your delusions that you think if we talk about Apollo, we're going to call you some kind of shill or something. You are so paranoid that you're freaking out over it, and it's hilarious. We don't care where you get your sponsorship from. Nobody's bothered
Not
about
my
it.
sponsorship.
We don't
It's the
read into shit like that.
own company.
You're the one reading into it when we're not even reading into it, but we can just poke you to make you think that we're reading into it, and then you get all shit up. You get really upset about it.
You have learned something today.
Yes, that you get triggered over Apollo. It's hilarious. Nobody cares. It's the real world. People get paid by people. It's no big deal.
So why did you ask me then?
Because we just see how you've just behaved.
And then moan about my response.
Because you've just behaved how a flat earther would behave because you were so paranoid about it.
Ranty, you were a fucking flat earther for 5 years.
But I still didn't behave like that.
So don't diss me with a fucking flat earther.
Well, you just behaved just like one. You just behave just as the typical flat earther would do when they think that they're being sort of like sold out, like you sold out because you're using Apollo, and it's like, oh no, I can't be associated with that. I need to go balls to the walls over it. It was hilarious.
I've just had to wind the windows up. There's fucking people stood outside my truck.
It's the real world, man. People get paid. It's no big fucking deal. Hell's bells.
Yeah, it don't matter. It's my son's business. I just fucking help him like anybody would do with their kids. I'm sure you all would do exactly the same. So, what we learnt then, Chemo?
There's no pulling force.
Yep. That's 100%. Bearded has debunked the Blackpool image. That's 100% now. Thanks, Chemo.
Bless you.
Hashtag
Chemo,
thanks.
We definitely need to hold on. Brian.
Hashtag thanks, Bearded.
Hold on, Brian. We definitely need to talk about this supposed pulling force now. I've talked to Bearded and the rest of the guys in here, and they say that you don't want to time the amount. It's going to move a certain distance, and it's going to move at a certain speed. Now, I think the speed is important. They don't think the speed is relevant. However, if you're blocking the magnetic field in one scenario and it takes X amount of time, and then you stop blocking the magnetic field and it takes a different amount of time than X, then obviously the magnetic field is part or influencing or somehow affecting this supposed pulling force. So I would put that in your contract to be sure, you know.
Jeremy, what the fuck are you going on about?
The pulling force Chemo just mentioned.
There isn't one.
I know, that's why you supposed it in front of every time I said it. Did you catch that, Chemo?
I think he's on about the Cavendish, Brian, in a vacuum.
Yes. The time is very.
Oh, I've left the ignition on.
I think the audience is more concerned about, what your doctor was going to say about you, Brian.
My doctor was going to say about me.
Yeah, he said he was just about to spill the beans about what your doctor thought of you.
When? Earlier.
We got bigger fish to fry, Ranty, than what? It's not about Brian.
Fish to fry.
It's not about Brian.
Yes, it's a hell of a journey and painful for a lot of people. And those that flip-flop must be doubly painful, I should think.
Well, we got to wait for the real Globers to get here, Chemo, because I don't think there's anyone that knows about this.
there is no pain in me. I actually sleep so much better. I'm not constantly thinking about flat Earth. I'm not constantly thinking the world is against me. I wake up and life's great. There's a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I just know by the way you've responded there with that sigh and saying, yeah, that, you know what it's like to. You know what it's like waking up. And you know what it's like waking up and thinking, God, everyone thinks I'm a right weirdo. You know it. I know it. I've been there.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you should fucking change your ethics to suit them.
I didn't change it for that. I didn't change it for them. I didn't change it for me.
Everybody I know, I do not hide the fact that I know the world isn't what we've been taught.
Right. Do you want me to tell you something?
I don't know what it is.
This will be the first time that I've said this, but I didn't change sides for me, right? Or for the people in my local vicinity, people that I know. I changed because my subscribers deserved to know what I found out. And I had to change based on that. Because if it had just been about me and I didn't have a channel and I didn't have a name, I would have just, denied it. But I couldn't deny it. So I had to accept it so that I could accept it for the people that I've told that the Earth is flat for. So that's the reason, you know?
That's called integrity, Ranty.
Yeah, I think it is.
That is integrity, that is.
And it's the truth. I found that image.
Once you've been self-employed, you can't work for anybody else. Do you remember when I said that?
Mm-hmm. But I had to do the analysis on that image, Brian. And I know what you're saying, and I know that you're trying to find an answer for it, and I know that you're probably, I don't know, coming up with some wild explanations. And you probably know, because you're probably quite a clever guy. You build cars for hell's bells. I mean, come on. You must know that what you're saying is garbage. And I'm just being truthful to you. I'm just saying it to you truthfully now. Seriously. Don't laugh. I mean, just think about it. Go to sleep tonight and think about it. And I hope tomorrow when I come on this channel that I don't speak to you, or the day after, because I hope you don't return. Because if you do that, you will do
what I've sloped off.
No, you will do what you have said, which is that you will then come to the realization that the Earth isn't flat. You were wrong, and you won't return because you told us you won't return. So I hope I don't see you tomorrow.
You won't see me tomorrow because I've got to go down to Southampton and pick a car up. I ain't got to pick that up till after dinner time. By the time I get home, it's going to be bloody late. So I doubt if I'll be on tomorrow.
Or the day after, or the day after that, or the day after that. Brian, you need to analyze this image with a clear head. With a clear head, you need to put all of your biases aside. Put all of your biases aside, and just pretend for a moment. Because I had to do that when I exhausted all the flat Earth reasons. I then had to put myself into the globe mindset and apply it as a globe. And I ask you to do the same.
Right.
That's it. And if you still come to the same conclusion, you're still a flat earther in a few days, fine, no problem. I haven't got any beef with you. You know, you've got your own, beliefs. I'm not going to try and change them for you. I'm just going to lead you in a direction. You can drink. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So it's as simple as that. Right?
I have no
Bullshit,
belief,
Brian.
none whatsoever.
Bullshit.
Bearded has just done a demonstration of your image that is reduced from kilometers to meters, and he showed the effect it should have. Now, if we incorporate that into his findings, the drop.
You mean if we change the result?
It's going to be nothing like your image.
It will be
nothing.
No, it will be the same because it's not a linear change, Brian. It's not a linear. With the globe, it's a squared function, my friend. It's a squared.
What's a squared function over 80 meters then?
8 inches per mile squared, Brian. It's not a linear. What you've done,
over 80 meters.
what you've done
You're
is
accepting his other measurements.
what you've done is you've gone to slopey Earth, and you've tried to make it a slope. It's not a slope; it's a squared function, and the squared function over that distance matches the globe. A slope doesn't. Fair enough, I'll agree with that. But the globe does with the 8 inches per mile squared. So don't get confused with slopey Earth. It's definitely globe Earth.
Slopey Earth and the globe Earth.
Yeah, but what you were saying was you were working out the amount of curvature there should be over 80 meters, and then you were just going to linearly extend that to 80 kilometers and say it doesn't match up. But it's a squared function with the curve on a globe. It's not a linear calculation. We don't live on a slope. We live on a globe.
So what is the squared function over 80 meters?
He doesn't understand. Can't do math.
Yeah.
Well, tell me.
No, this is a common problem amongst flat earthers is you can't do math.
For the
If
meter
you
square
use
cal-
a 1,000
I
to
forget
1
what it is.
ratio to come up with,
Brian,
what
would
is
you like to
the...
know what it is?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Now you got a piece of paper and pencil? Because you're gonna have to
No.
write this down. All right. Well,
Who's this?
when you have
Dr.
a piece of
Bob.
paper and a pencil,
Turn him up. Dr.
Who
Bob.
is it? Who is it?
Dr. Bob.
Hold on, Bob. He's full up.
He's soft.
Let me
Softer
drop
than a
him.
Twinkie
Let
filling.
me drop and come back.
No, it's not
It
you.
wasn't you. It's Bob. Maybe
You're
Bob's
being awfully
prepared
quiet,
to
Jeremy.
answer about the timing and Cavendish. Well, I mean, I tried to bring something up a minute ago. We're going down this rabbit hole with Ranty at the moment. I was just being polite and waiting till they were done with that nonsense.
Not nonsense. I thought he was one of your heroes until a couple days ago.
Who, Ranty?
Yeah.
Well, he did excellent flat Earth work. Yeah, I mean, he showed us how all these globe observations work.
Yeah. Then suddenly you realize he was wrong.
It takes someone with a lot of integrity to actually admit that they were wrong on such a public scale. Because, let's face it, I was in the spotlight. So to actually admit that I was wrong takes a lot.
Anyways, this is all gonna blow over in a week or two because
It's not going to blow over.
we've seen these observations time and time again. This is nothing new.
It's definitely not going to blow over.
It's definitely
hey,
nothing
Jeremy,
new.
it's just going to
It's
get
gonna
started.
Ranty.
I've got a major series coming out on Ranty.
Nobody watches your YouTube. You got like 10
Actually,
subscribers.
yeah, they do. But yeah, actually they do. But that'll definitely make a little splash when that comes out.
Well, we'll see. Rainey will keep it alive for a little bit. The debate with Witsit will keep it up. But I mean, a few weeks, this will be all dust in the wind.
How did you get on against Witsit, Ranty?
Debated him yet? It'll be next Saturday.
Oh, it's next Saturday.
I've got to give him plenty of time. I can't just cold bring him in and just destroy him without giving him time to actually prepare. He had no idea what he was going to walk into, and I wasn't going to let him just debate me there and then. He needs time to...
You do it on Katz's channel?
It's going to be on Agree to Disagree.
Okay.
So,
is he going to have his civil engineer with him to help?
Well, I hope so.
Answers?
I hope so, because I also messaged Bob from Globebusters and told him that basically Witsit was coming in, and it was essentially a Globebuster coming in, so you could tag the name Globebusters Challenges Ranty. So I am kind of poking the bear a little bit, but I would hope that Bob, with his ginormous brain, is going to be able to butt heads with Jeranism and, Witsit, so that when Witsit comes in, he will be fully prepared for this debate. Because I'm ready.
Sure,
Are you going to let them? Are you going to let them appear on the panel with him, or do they have to stay on the side and just feed him answers?
To be honest, if they all wanted to sit on the panel, it could be 4 against 1. It doesn't bother me. I mean, this image speaks for itself. I'll debate any number of people at any one time, providing it's just specifically about the image.
Sounds good. Looks like it'd be enjoyable.
It's roughly 0.08 meters per kilometer squared expected Earth curve on the non-existent Earth ball with the meter formula. So over 80 kilometers, you'd expect 80 squared times 0.08 to get the amount of curvature down and away from tangent to the ball. That works out to about 508, something like that.
508 what?
Hold on.
The thing that amazes me about you, Lemon, is that you can sound so bored while putting out wrong information. It's just great.
It is, isn't it?
Like
80 kilometers
It's
square.
a gift, man. It's a true gift.
I mean, I can't see any success with this picture, to be honest, Ranty. I mean, again, Jeremy's kind of right. It will get talked about. I mean, it's all
but let me
based
just stop you there. Let me just stop you there. You can't see any success. Let's put it this way. I would say that there's probably been 20 live streams that Nathan Oakley's done. I would say that on every live stream that's ever been out, it's been discussed. On every Globe Earth channel, it's been discussed about. And this has been going on for over 2 weeks now. So to simply say that it hasn't caused any issues or anything like that, I think you're deluding yourself.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the first month or so, it's going to be a lot of attention. I mean, that's normal. The Globers are bored. They want something new.
Nothing new came out.
No.
Just had one of the great flat earthers decide he was wrong. Maybe you'll do the same. I doubt it, though. You're probably not as smart.
Well, Chemo's waiting for Biodual. I mean, I got some serious issues with that, if anyone's ready to address that.
Same with you, Jeremy. You'd probably change your mind if you were halfway intelligent, but you're not.
I need your validation page, Shield, to make a decision on what is real in life, when you're the leader of the new school, that's simply because you're able to conduct science in the right manner. So,
I have no idea what the hell you just said.
He basically said that water runs uphill and we live on a slope.
Gotcha.
Right, okay. So on the flat earth side, though, they've not been talking. They might have been talking about it, but they've not been talking about it. And that's very clear. On the globe earth side, they've been spelling it out and saying why it works on the globe and why it doesn't work on the flat earth. And the flat earth channels have completely dishonestly not spoken about it properly, as they should do. But
well, it's just a reversal of the argument. The flat earthers say we see way too far, and this white swan sees we see just about as far as we would expect to see, and we have this shorter object in the background that's dropped below something shorter in the foreground, but we need a drone to see if that relationship is maintained if you get higher above the surface and stay level.
Oh, fuck off. We do not need a drone, you idiot.
It might help. Settle
no,
some
it
of
wouldn't
this
help. The only thing a drone does, the only thing drones do is prove the globe. When you guys watch a sunset, then take the drone up 40 feet and watch the sunset again, then take the drone up another 40 feet and watch the sunset again.
Well,
yeah,
the
there's plenty
relationship
of drone
with the
elevator footage out there.
And the whole time the guy's saying, hey, this is proof of the flat earth, not knowing he's proving the globe. We used to call those pulling ranties. No, I'm sorry, Ranty. We have to come up with a new name for him now. I'm working on it.
That's 512 meters of drop over 80 kilometers based off of the 0.08 meters per kilometer squared formula that you would expect on a ball. So if we're going to reverse this argument, we need to have a damn good reason to go back to square one with 4 or 5 years ago by, affirming that this mountain looks shorter than something shorter in the foreground because of Earth curve. We need to, have a drone levitate above the surface of the Earth and see if that relationship is maintained as it should be on a ball with a level drone, or reversed like you'd expect on something more like a flattish plane.
Well, Lemon, what would you see with a drone that would differentiate a globe Earth from this flat Earth thing?
So
well, I've been in flat, parking lots where, two light poles of the same size have a light pole in the background that is dropped below the same size light pole in the foreground. But that relationship reverses if you ascend above the surface and have, some sort of level sight to the object. So on a flattish plane, you'd expect that relationship that we see in Randy's observation to reverse if it's a flattish plane. Now, if it's actually physically lower than the thing in the foreground, well, then that relationship will be maintained, and it will remain lower than the shorter thing in the foreground.
He really doesn't like
so
you.
you don't know.
Bullshit, Lemon. You just said the opposite. You said the closed one will drop.
Yeah, the relationship will reverse.
Right.
The thing that's taller in the foreground will now appear shorter than the taller thing in the background. If you get higher off of a flat plane, that would be expected.
Yeah, but your relationship.
Expected on a globe.
On a globe, the thing in the background, the mountain, is actually physically lower than the thing in the foreground. So that relationship where it is lower would be maintained upon levitating above the ground with a level drone. That was
You understand the tower. How far away is the tower, Lemon Bird?
20-ish kilometers.
And how far away are the mountains?
Say 80-ish kilometers, Lemon.
Yeah, so you think a drone going, how high will the drone have to go to make any sort of difference in that geometry?
Ideally, taller than the tower in the foreground, and
so,
strike a level line
900 feet
in the background.
Yeah. Or until it actually sees something?
So the tower in the foreground is 158 meters. Let's get a drone 160-ish meters.
And you think, hold on. And you think
lower than the level drone?
Hold on.
And you think that's going to change the geometry?
Do you think a drone
relationship would be expected to reverse over a flattish plane?
Do you think a drone can see
that relationship will be maintained? That is the expectation anyway.
Lemon,
someone get the...
How high can a drone legally fly?
Don't know.
400 feet. Is that going to make a difference in your observation?
400 divided by 3 is what? 33 meters? Something like that?
Someone get an airplane and fly over.
Meters. So
someone get an airplane
and fly. Get a drone that goes high enough for that. Well, can somebody get to the top of that tower and see if the mountain still appears lower than, I don't know, a level line or something?
Fuck.
Even then, the level line will disappear due to perspective, but I guess it's better than nothing.
Lemon, I showed you a picture where the mountain is clearly below level line.
Hell, even better. Can we get something that's what? 158 meters plus 200 meters, 358 meters above sea level, whatever that tower is, close to the observer in that RANTY observation, and see if you can, still see the same relationship when you look out. Could we check that?
What relationship?
How high do you want it to go? What do you want, Lemon?
We need a, let's see, they say the tower is 200 meters above sea level, so they say. We need an observer that's 200 plus 158, 358. We'll go 360 meter observer. Looking out level to that tower to see if that relationship where the mountain in the background is lower than the tower in the foreground still maintains. That could be a start.
350 feet above sea level.
Said meters, so that's 360 meters for the 200 meters of that tower above sea level, plus the height of the tower of 158 meters. 200 plus 158 is 358. We'll go at 360, I guess.
Gondel in the chat who says, going up in a drone is just looking around the curve and will bring the mountains up. It is effectively moving the drop or removing the drop. What do you say to that?
I say that that's too baked. We need to keep the drone as level as possible, looking out over the flat plane. If we're going to bake the expectation that it's looking out over the curve, we're effectively baking an expectation where we can't keep a drone level with a level sight line to look out over the curve of the ball.
It doesn't matter how level you keep the drone. Elevating it is going to reveal more of the distant object. It doesn't matter how level you make the drone.
All we're doing is illustrating whether or not this relationship still holds, where the thing that is supposed to be higher in the background raises above or stays below the shorter thing in the foreground. It would be expected to raise above the shorter thing in the foreground on a flat plane if it's some sort of weird perspective glitch, and it would be expected to remain below the thing in the foreground if it is actually physically lower.
So, of course, it's going to appear as though the mountain ends up outpacing the height of the tower, even on a globe.
How?
By
if you're keeping a level line with the drone and you don't
by getting any more elevation, you're making the distant object become more visible. The thing in the foreground is going to drop lower faster. The whole thing works fine on a globe. You will see eventually, with enough altitude, the top of the mountain surpass the top of the tower. That doesn't prove or disprove either thing that you think you're disproving.
Well, at that point, we have expectations that are so baked into this thing where we can't even keep a level line with the drone. At this point, we can't prove anything because we're baking and kneading everything into this globe.
It doesn't matter if the drone is level or not.
We need a level line to be established, maintained, and accepted with the drone to prove anything. Otherwise, this is so baked, we're just going to cook everything into the globe anyway.
Just whistle on past what I just said. It doesn't matter if the drone is level or not.
It's not acceptable because you're cooking everything into to the globe, when at the very least we need to separate out the expectation of a level drone that is looking out over the globe, establishing whether or not that relationship where the higher thing in the background is lower than the shorter thing in the foreground is maintained, and or if it reverses upon getting higher like you would expect over a flattish plane.
Well, Lemon, your problem is you
Lemon, hold on a minute. The drone does not have to be level. The camera will be on a gimbal. Camera will be level.
Good enough. Dr. Bob, you were saying?
See, the problem that you're running into with this little experiment is you haven't thought it through. What you're describing is parallax. The same effect of parallax will occur whether the Earth is a level flat plane or a globe. The rear object will raise up compared to the object in the foreground on both of them. You haven't properly designed an experiment that would differentiate between the two. Try again.
That parallax would be observable past the midline, past the level line. The inversion parallax-wise or whatever would be the level line effectively. And so
it doesn't matter where the level line is.
Drone establish a level line for this parallax to occur.
It doesn't matter where the level line is. This parallax thing happens regardless of where level is.
It's too baked. I mean, you can't bake it into the globe like this because you can't prove anything at this point. At the very least, if it is physically lower than the tower in the foreground, that physical relationship needs to be maintained via a level line, like the drone.
Crap is that, Clement?
Oh, dear Lord.
Denali ain't just a river in Africa, is what he's saying.
Yeah, he's got no idea what he's talking about. You know, Lemon, drop the parallax argument completely. Come up with a better test.
Let's see if it's parallax, some sort of weird refraction parallax over a flat plane or whatever.
So you want someone to fly an airplane, whatever. You want someone to fly an airplane about 1,000 feet over the observer point and see what they see, right? And then what's the hoop after that? Then what's the next hoop?
I'll come up with the hoop as needed. If the goalpost needs to be moved,
I know you will. That's your
so
thing.
Be it for the flat plane. If we've got to do it, all's fair in love and war. If the globe can move the goalpost, I guess the flatties can move the flat post too.
No, we don't move the goalpost as much as you. You just continually move your goalposts.
Well, he's also asking for somebody to verify his presupposed effect that he came up with.
You guys have moved the goalpost many times that have been unacknowledged.
Name one.
Name one, yeah, go ahead.
You moved it with the Lorentz contraction, trying to invalidate the experiments that pointed to a motionless Earth so that your Earth could move. How about that one?
Before we get off this topic, can I ask Lemon a question?
Yeah, but other than that, what have they ever done for us?
Can no one hear me?
I hear you.
I hear you. I'm just getting ready to be mind effed. What is your question?
Coming, huh? So let's say someone walked to the top of that tower in that picture, and they got themselves a level, a theodolite or something, and they pointed to the top of that hill over there. What would you say if the angle was declined from the top of that tower?
I already have something for that anyway. I've already been talking about
what is it?
Perspective crushing, making the level line smush, and disappear.
Crushing, right? It's a declination. But I'm just talking about one single point. I'm just talking about one point on the top of that mountain. What accounts for that one point being lower, being below the level line of that tower? What accounts for that? The one point. Points can't smush, right?
I've talked about perspective crushing with these theodolites anyway. At this point,
you can't crush something that you can't crush a point, right? You know that, right? We agree, can't crush a point.
Like I said, I would settle at this point for getting higher in elevation. Shoot, let's even go with the 40-meter drone and seeing if that
let's not go 40-meter drone. Let's say you're at the top of that tower and you pointed at one point. Boy, you dodge, don't you? You try to run away from this fact, don't you? You can't even allow yourself to address it, can you?
Address what?
One point, Lemon, and that point is lower in elevation according to the horizontal line from the top of that tower. What would you do?
I've already talked about perspective crushing, so I've already handled that already.
But you talked about crushing objects that crush. You can't crush a point, right? Can you crush a point?
If you're seeing it visually, you'd be crushing the information into the eye level.
Can you crush a point? It's a simple question, yes or no?
So on the object, so yes, you'd be crushing.
You can crush a point. You can move a point, right? But you can't crush it.
Yeah, you'd be crushing the point.
How do you crush a point? Explain that one to me. It has no dimension.
This point abstraction doesn't even have a real analog in real life because a point.
But it has a location, right?
So we're talking about an abstraction to help us get, something in reality. That's all.
You can agree a point has a location, right? You can agree to that, yes or no?
Yeah.
And so if we point something at it, that location is real, correct?
Yes.
And so if we point something at that point, at that location, and the thing we point at, it tells us that it's below us, what do we conclude?
We can conclude that the visual representation of that point may not be real. It's like looking at the railroad tracks appear to ramp up toward the level of the eyes.
No, we're not talking about ramping. We're not talking about this stuff. No. One point, a single point, Lemon. A single point. Work with me here. Focus. A single point. What can account for that not being where we expect it to be? Or I guess not being where you expect it to be?
Perspective did that with the railroad tracks.
Can't have a perspective
on the railroad tracks appear to ramp up toward the level of the eye.
There are no perspective with point. A point can't have a perspective. It just has a location. That's it.
Yeah, but the location is not being accurately rendered based off of the activity of the eye.
What renders it inaccurate?
Perspective, where it appears to ramp up toward the level of the eye while it's not actually doing that.
Do you agree points cannot have perspective? Lemon? Did he run? Did I do?
Imagine that.
Can anybody hear me?
He does that, dude.
Okay.
Do I agree that points don't have perspective? Everything converges to a point via perspective. So it's going to be difficult to answer that question, but I guess I'm going to have to disagree.
So a point can have perspective.
According to the definition of perspective, I guess I would have to disagree.
It was a yes or no question.
No.
So points can have perspective.
Sure.
How so?
Everything converges to a point or appears to based off of perspective.
But it's just a point already. Nothing to converge. It's already a point.
Yeah, what's the point?
So things are smush and smash toward the level of the eyes. You get a horizon line which has multiple vanishing points in it.
You can do it.
You can't smash a point, Lemon.
I don't.
That would make the point an object. But these points are visual renderings of optical information with a lot of stuff within that quote-unquote point.
You're really struggling with this,
100 miles within 1 point. 200 miles within 1 point. A lot of visual information smashed into that horizon.
People around here say you're smart and that you can actually understand these things.
No, they don't.
Forcing me to question that. No, I don't, but people do. You can understand a point, right? You get that, the abstraction. Can you not?
I can get a horizon with infinite vanishing points within it, yeah.
I just asked you about 1 point. You can conceive 1 point, right?
Sure.
Lemon, can you have 1 point on the horizon and 1 point straight above you? Can you see a point straight above you?
Yeah.
Okay, is that on the horizon?
The point above you, no.
Okay, great. So that's a point, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead and proceed.
Someone else can take over. I'm done.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry. Didn't get anywhere either, but...
No, I'm just kidding, man. Yeah. It's a valiant effort.
Yeah, I thought I'll fight it if we can get somewhere, but he resists even that, so...
Lemon, where's the perspective on the point directly over your head?
You'd have to look at that point.
I'm asking you to. There's a point directly over your head. How does perspective work on that point?
Without a flat surface in the way, if that object's big enough, it will eventually converge toward the center of your vision, depending on which direction it's going in.
Point. There's no object. There's a point.
Right.
Directly above your head. No flat surface.
Uh-huh.
So
you're going to be actually up to...
So is the perspective on a point directly over your head?
Yes.
Great. How's that work?
All right. The object, if it goes away parallel to where you're looking, will tend to converge toward the center of your vision, where you're looking.
What if you're not looking at it? Is there still a point there? Can there still be a single point?
Yes.
So if you're not looking at a star, the star doesn't exist.
The star still exists, but perspective-wise, it's not going parallel to where you're looking.
But is it still a point?
Yes.
Even if you're not looking at it?
Yes.
How do you have perspective without looking at something?
Without looking at something?
Yeah, it's a point. You say a point has to have perspective. You're not looking at it. It's still a point. How can you have perspective if you aren't looking at something?
The better question is how you look at something without perspective somewhere. I mean, these questions are just mind effing. I'm trying to be polite, but this is just frustrating as hell. I just wish you guys would just make your freaking point.
We are making the point. That's it. The point is, Lemon, this is a very insidious, surreptitiously attempt
fuck off,
at us building a model for these globe liars. What they need to get straight is, we've never claimed a model. There is no model, and there never will be a model.
Is the Earth flat?
So you can ask Lemon to model this flat Earth as much as you like. It doesn't change the fact that there is no evidence for the globe.
Is the Earth flat?
It's whatever you want it to
I would have to say so, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Lemon,
Bob, they don't
Lemon,
care to learn.
Let's try
man.
to pay attention to what's happened here. They've presented you with Ranty's picture. They've said, how does this work on a flat Earth? They're presupposing that we have a model and we know how all these things operate. So they've given you a model and says,
Hey, Kimo,
explain this model.
Is the Earth flat?
So it's a straw man to say, well, every time you answer, they say, well, that's nonsense. That doesn't work. That doesn't work because you're trying to model the flat Earth for them from the ground up.
Okay, so you
the
said
very
it's a flat
sneaky
Earth.
attempt
That's
because we've
your
always
model.
told them
The Earth is
there is
flat.
no model. We will never have a model. So they thought, what can we do to get them to talk about a model without them realizing it? And this image
You have a model.
is
The Earth
just
is flat.
that.
That's your model.
Us trying to build a flat Earth model.
Dr. Bob. Well, Dr. Bob, the thing is you can't quite model what the eye sees due to perspective. So that's what
I was just told you
between the real flat Earth and how our eye sees
flat,
it.
Lemon?
I would have to say so, yes.
Okay, that's your model.
There you go, Lemon, you see? So you can
You
carry
have
on,
a
Lemon,
model
building
now.
their model if you want.
owned it.
But be aware, we do not have a model. You cannot model.
Gleam told me the opposite yesterday. Gleam was all over my ass telling me there's a model of the flat Earth. So is there a model or not? You guys need to fucking decide.
That's a sneaky, surreptitious plan that they're pulling off.
Chemo knows what happens if they have a model.
They're getting us, or you rather.
So is
to
there a
build
model or not?
model from the ground up, Lemon, by saying we're going to start with a small
Chemo,
section of the
is there a model or not? Please tell me.
You explain this small section. You model
Well,
it for
this is
us.
the quote-unquote model that I would go with, Chemo. The biblical cosmology, covered by a dome, all that, with the general flat layout with the AE map. That's what I would go with.
There you go. There's your model, ballers. If you want a model, that's your model.
That is the flat Earth model.
That
There's
doesn't
your
work,
model,
by
yeah.
the way.
So you trying to ask
That's
Lemon
why
for
not.
calculations and the numbers.
So how do you explain the skies in Australia?
There you go, Lemon. They want you to build a model from the bottom up.
The rains down in Africa.
This is an absolute trick. This is to get flat earthers to explain this picture on their flat Earth model.
No, it's to get you to take a stance, man. To get behind something.
See?
Yeah.
Take a stance, Lemon.
Well, it's
defend your model,
to
Lemon.
take a stand because we gotta explore this, and so a model is a first step. It doesn't have to be totally real. It's just a first step to try to do some exploration to figure out whether we're close or we're off the mark.
Well,
So how do you explain plane flights from Australia to South America over Antarctica?
That'd be a reification.
How do I explain explain the what?
How do you explain flying from Australia to South America over Antarctica on your AE map now?
Most of the flights that I've seen that have stops go over land and appear to have northern deviation.
No, they fly nonstop from Australia to South America.
Supposedly, but Jaredism and others say they've
actually fucking do
the
it.
flight isn't available, or when they go on the flight, they bring their own compass onto the flight, and the in-flight compass says a different direction than their compass.
Bullshit.
So my answer is there appears to be some real funny business with these quote-unquote nonstop flights.
In other words,
so did Critical Think. Greater Sapien and Critical Think took the flight. All right, we've got people that actually did it that we know.
Lemon is the best hope
you can
for a
fly
model,
on a flat plane, nonstop too. You just have to cut across, I guess. Get a jet stream. That's not an impossibility on a flat surface. What's the problem?
So how can you fly when airplanes don't have the range to fly, according to your AE map, they don't have the range to fly from, say, Australia to South Africa and back?
Well, that's why the flat earthers are saying... What's that?
If you fly one way with the jet stream, how do you fly the other way with the jet stream? Does the jet stream depend on which way you're traveling?
The jet stream changes throughout the year.
Oh, yeah, but
I don't know if
they do it on the same day.
But it does
they do it on the
change.
same day or on subsequent days.
Do they reverse
What?
directions, Lemon?
14-hour flight?
Yeah, 14-hour flight.
Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look into this. But on that AE map that I put in the chat, You can just cut across, and it looks like they'd have to make a pit stop depending on the range and the capabilities of planes that we have on file. Either that, or they're flying a plane that is tricked out and much more updated than we've been led to believe.
Nope, none of that is true, Lemon. It's your model is incorrect. That's what's wrong.
See?
It goes with row bottoms counts from sailors. What was that?
Row bottom?
Subsonic.
Supersonic?
No, they're subsonic.
Subsonic. They cannot travel that distance in the time between when they take off and when they land at their destination. They can't travel that distance without breaking the speed of sound.
I get a speed of 500 miles-ish an hour for a plane. 500 miles. What's the top speed for like a plane? You're saying like 600?
Go 580, 570, somewhere in there.
All right, with a 200-mile-per-hour jet stream, at least one way, that's up to 780, 800-ish miles per hour.
Yeah, it's 300 coming back. How do you explain that?
Okay, to and back. Assuming that these flights exist.
Yeah, no, not assuming they exist. You can actually see they exist.
So, I guess I'd have to
see. Lemon, they do exist.
Because people say that there's funny business. Jeranism and other people say there's funny business where you try to
Jeranism, of course. Jeranism is another idiot.
You get one with a stop, with a pit stop, fueling stop.
No.
And when you look at the pit stops, they make straight lines on a flattish AE map.
No pit stop. You do a direct flight. No pit stop.
So, assuming that there is no pit stop, that would be the main thing. How do you have a nonstop flight over a longer, say, AE course or whatever, versus, say, a shorter globe tapering to a point, assuming that they go in that direction?
Exactly. So, therefore... So what's your conclusion then?
My conclusion is you can look at the flights that exist on paper on the computer, but what you actually get is a totally different flight and totally different than what you expect. Like Japanism and other people appear to be implying.
Different than you expect, you mean? Because your model is wrong, that's why.
Because if you look at the ones with stops, they make straight line paths, more or less.
No, we're not talking about the ones with stops. We're talking the ones that go direct. We're talking Sao Paulo.
Are kind of looking a little flat.
We're talking Sao Paulo, Johannesburg.
They make pit stops that make straight line deviations over.
Nope, non-stop. Sao Paulo, Johannesburg.
Leave the pit stops alone. We're talking non-stop flights.
Look at Qantas flights.
Okay, so now we have to assume that those flights actually can be booked and flown on. Assuming that's the case, okay, maybe we can talk about that. But I would wager that they're on paper, but what you're actually going to get when you make that flight will be totally different.
How much do you want to wager, Lyman? How much do you want to wager?
I will wager 1 penny.
How about $1,000 right now?
I'm a little poor. I don't know if I can handle that, Doc.
When we're done with the wager, too.
Bob, quit taking these people seriously. Bob, quit taking them seriously, man. Come on now.
Now, Lemon, do you want to bet $1,000 that they exist or not exist?
Do you take slavery as a payment?
Not since 1865, no.
Ah, damn. I'm not going to be able to wager on that then, sir. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, maybe you can get some backers. Maybe Jeremy will help you a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a whole lot of Bitcoin.
Fundraise, guys.
Dogecoin or whatever it is.
Bitcoin, please. Thank you.
Dogecoin or whatever the hell it is.
No crypto talk.
Oh, sorry.
And by the way,
Shekels.
I'm in Michigan. We never had slavery here.
Never?
So, Lemon, you're going to build this model for them because this is what Ranty's image is all about. It's about asking the flat earther to compile a model for them. So
exactly. No, Chemo. It's like try to explain this image, this how they see this on the flat Earth model you guys have. You cannot because it will not work.
Yeah, no one's going to explain it. So now that I've realised, I'm going to.
No. Hold on a second. We can explain it quite well on the globe Earth. It fits perfectly with the globe Earth, just like every other observation that's made.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put it out.
The thing is, your problem, Chemo, is it invalidates the flat Earth, and you can't deal with that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put it out there. I mean, I've always said lemon is your best bet for a model. But other than that, the message will go out is not to debate this or discuss this picture because we don't have a model.
Of course not, because it destroys it destroys you.
Okay, if you say we have a model, you can give us whatever. You can give us whatever straw man you want, but we've never claimed
not a straw man. It brought one of your kings. It brought one of your great flat earthers back into the globe fold. And I think that's pretty strong, personally.
Well, that's fine.
Well, Chemo, I think we can do this together. I mean, iron does sharpen iron, and some people like Bearded Devil, although they're diehard Globe zealots, are doing some of the work. We can just kind of, tweak it a little bit and maybe give them, somewhat of a model to work off of for serious consideration, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you want to give them a model, that's up to you. I said, other than that, I wouldn't. I've always said you're the best bet to help them build a model. But other than that, most flat earthers don't have models, don't believe in models.
Yeah, because why not? Then why don't you have a model?
We'll never build a model, never utilize a model. And
yeah, exactly. You don't build a model because...
It's just dawned on me now, realizing what you guys were doing, is asking to build a model from the ground up. It's insane.
We're asking you to prove. We're asking you to demonstrate your hypothesis that the Earth is flat with a scientific model. That's how it fucking works.
Yeah, and then you're pushing a model on us.
No, I'm not pushing a model on you. Tell me a model. What's your model?
Very interesting. Well,
what's the model?
I won't be discussing.
Well, you understand? You're smart enough to understand that the reason you don't have a model is because any model you put up is wrong and can be demonstrated so. That's why you don't put up a model.
Well, the thing that prohibits us from having a model is one, religious bias, because many of the flat Earth models in the West are Christian, and people hate religion, and they're turning into post-Christian, will-bound satano-atheists. Number one. Number two, people are scared. People are scared of, maybe having to step up to the plate with, some of the stuff that they're figuring out just for themselves for the first time. Number two. And, number three. Satano-atheists, a mixture of Satanists and atheists, because atheists are tools for Satanists to fight against Christianity.
You understand that if you believe in Satan, you're not an atheist, right? You believe in a deity.
Technically.
You can't be a Satano-atheist. I mean, that's a made-up word, Lemon.
Well, Satan doesn't care just as long as you don't follow the true triune God of Scripture. You can be anything, and he won't care just as long as you're, ultimately deceived. I guess you are technically correct with that, but still, it's a tool to make people lost without their true.
No one cares about your frickin' religion. Science and religion are not the same thing. They're very different. See, religion is based on faith. Science is based on facts, what you can prove, what you can show, what you can demonstrate. You can show, demonstrate, and prove nothing. You only have religion.
I'm just saying that we're going to cut ourselves off if anti-religious bias is keeping us
hold on a second.
Very viable, in some cases, religious models that are a little flat. That's all that I'm saying.
Can I just go over this? Okay, listen again. And get the shit out of your ears this time and listen. Religion is based on faith. Science is based on fact. The two are very different from one another.
They work together if it's true science. If it's, fake science or scientism, it will try to elevate man's way of thinking of things above the manufacturer, aka God's, considerations when he's telling you quite literally how he made it.
Hold on a second. You don't need God and religion. You don't need God and science together. God is in religion. Science is based in fact. Most of your scientists are theists, by the way.
Well, who witnessed the construction of this earth other than God? You're going to hamstring yourself.
Who wrote it? Who wrote it down? Who wrote it down? Was he there when it happened? The guy who wrote it into the
God
book
was? Yes.
Where is
God
your
wrote it
model
down?
page show?
God wrote it down. You want my picture of my model? I have a picture of my model. Hold on.
Yeah.
God wrote it down?
Show us your model of your
through men, yes.
So a man wrote it down. Was that man there? Or was that man there when the...
Where's this model page show?
Hold on a second, I have a picture of the model, hold on.
Your model is broken. Have you looked at your own model?
No, it's not. It's not broken. It works quite well, thank you.
You want to talk about models? Try to
I have a picture of the model. Hold on.
Do you have a model train?
Well,
exactly.
Here it is. Here's a picture of the model. Actually, this isn't a picture of the model. This is the picture of the Earth. So this is a perfect picture. This is a picture of the Earth taken by real people with a real camera on real film.
Yeah, but where's the model of the heliocentric?
When you don't know what a model is, what do you think a model is, like made out of paper mache and painted with paint, like you did in second grade or something?
That's not a model.
I don't know. What do you think a model is?
You don't know what a scientific model is, do you?
No. What is it?
A model is acknowledgement. A model is a way to acknowledge that our senses are limited, and we have to focus on certain things to model for a prediction. It's a way to say we kind of expect this rough ballpark thing to happen to guide our exploration and our theories or whatever.
So your model says that this gas ball is next to this black area.
Well, we're not going to go over that today. We're not going to talk about that because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Your model is broken.
It is not broken. It works quite well. You just don't understand what the fuck you're talking about.
How does it work then? How does the gas work next to that vacuum?
It's called gravity, and until you understand that, don't talk to me, okay?
Understand it how?
Well, gravity is supposed to pull it into this ball that you see, but what I see is flat land curved probably by a fisheye lens by...
No, incorrect. This was taken by a Hasselblad camera with a normal lens. No fisheye lens involved in this picture.
To pass off the globe fake.
Nope, this was not taken with a fisheye lens. Incorrect. Try again.
Where are the stars? They give excuses about it being overexposed with the stars.
You see gravity pulling things into balls all the time. There are gas giants, Lemon.
But we just assume that that's happening. There's no witness there. We send probes up, but they just see stuff happening, and we're assuming it's the gravity force. Do we see this gravitron or some sort of actor pulling stuff into a ball?
Yes. So gravity's been proven. Big Blue's doing it right now.
Top 10 scientific
models. The thing that's so weird is, we're talking about gravity pulling stuff into balls, but I see surface tension do that at the small scale with water droplets, but that's about it.
Well, if you actually look through a telescope at any other object in the solar system that's big enough, guess what shape they assume?
It looks kind of round, like a ball.
Yeah, like a ball, exactly,
like
thank you.
Yeah. So we're going to assume that this gravity force pulls stuff into balls. As opposed to
we don't have to assume it. We can demonstrate and look at it and see it
from all sides, making it conform to a shape like
pictures of the Earth from all sides, showing it to be round, showing it to be a ball. It's amazing. What object can you look at from any direction and see a circle? What's that shape called in geometry? Now, if you look at a shape, this particular shape, and no matter what angle you look at it, you see a circle in 2 dimensions. What is that 3-dimensional shape called?
A flat disc that has disappeared early?
Nope. You look at a disc. If you look at a disc from the side, you get a line or something. What object, no matter what 3-dimensional object, no matter how you look at it, gives you a circle in 2 dimensions?
A luminescent that is vibrating and undulating.
No. Come on, gentlemen. You know this. You studied enough. You know where I'm going, and you refuse to go there. So, okay, you're just
a vibrating potato.
Yeah, no.
I'd say a sonoluminescent orb vibrating and undulating in electromagnetic ether, waters above, something else.
It's called a sphere.
So you said orb.
It would vibrate and just shake into all sorts of weird conformations.
No, you said orb very clearly. I heard orb. Did you guys hear orb?
I heard orb.
You got me. Yeah, you got me. All right, fine, a sphere. I'm just saying that there's other possibilities. Maybe some of this stuff is a disk. One of the flatties showed solar filtered sun that looked like it was flattening out as it's getting far away. Maybe that's not refraction. Maybe it's actually a disk in the dome or something. Who knows?
No.
Well, according to Dr. Young, a sunset would turn into a glowing disk, 1.23 degrees above the astronomical horizon. Well done, sir.
Fascinating. maybe it's actually a disc. I mean, if you think about spinning a pizza dough, it turns flat. Why are these spinning things still round as opposed to, say, flattening out? I mean, we say that Earth has a bulge because of that. Maybe it would tend to flatten out as opposed to being a round orb.
How fast would it have to spin to do that?
Oh, like a pizza? It would have to spin at that rate, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's pretty damn quick. How fast does the Earth spin?
It's spinning once a day.
Yeah, once a day, which is half the speed.
Half the Earth spins once a day. You heard it here first.
Half the speed of an hour hand.
According to the globe, the Earth spins. A more accurate model would be that the Earth is motionless and at rest on pillars on top of a watery deep.
Incorrect.
I go with the biblical model.
Incorrect.
With ether spinning gently over it. What was
Any
that?
proof of that? Any proof of that?
Proof of the Earth being motionless? My own senses that feel.
Your own senses aren't good enough by this because you don't feel motion. You only feel acceleration.
My senses are good enough. I feel movement in a car. I know what movement is.
What, Dr. Bob, will you please get Lemon Bird and take him up in your airplane and do some instrument flight and let him see how good his senses are?
I'm sure they're more than up to the task.
No, they're not. You'll die in 180 seconds.
People
rotate yourself 1/4 of a degree every minute. See if you can feel that.
Then multiply that times all of the Earth's momentum and junk.
It doesn't work. Momentum is not.
That's not how rotation works.
That's not how momentum works either.
A rotation figure and the acceleration you would feel from that has nothing to do with the momentum of everything else around you.
It takes nothing to rotate a tennis ball. It takes a whole lot of work to rotate a wrecking ball, especially a wrecking ball Earth.
And if once it's rotating, it doesn't stop. That's correct. That's called inertia. Very good.
It's already rotating. You don't have to start it or stop it. It's already doing that.
So you're going to beg the question by saying it was just imparted all of this spinny force from the Big Bang? I'm going to have to say no.
It has nothing to do with the Big Bang, actually. It has to do with the formation of the planet, but that's another issue.
From the Big Bang, right?
Actually, the Big Bang did not directly form Earth. What we're talking about is the rotation that we can measure. Whether or not how it got there, whether or whatever the cause was, it's rotating. It's measurable.
I'll let it go, even though you and I both know that the force was imparted by the Big Bang. Despite the fact that we have stuff that's spinning in opposite directions to what one Big Bang, whatever the heck explosion would produce.
What are you talking about?
But let's forget that inconsistency. Most of the time, to maintain motion, you need a force to help that motion be maintained. And it's not just mystically maintained.
No.
Page,
what is the second law of motion?
Another mystical philosophical pronouncement by the scientism sages?
What is the law of motion? Demonstrate it. You can demonstrate this,
by
Lemon.
them to try to guide their science.
Lemon, it's
probably little more.
Before I yell at Lemon, you get banned from this channel.
What's the topic?
We were just talking about how an object needs energy from the ether to be imparted to it to maintain its motion. If that energy is cut off or goes back to the ether, the object stops moving.
Did anyone figure out who that guy was that was coaching Witsit in that debate?
It was Witsit's mom.
Okay, dude.
God, his mom has quite the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I missed they did determine that the mystery voice coming from Witsit's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw the guy on camera too.
Yeah. A QE. stuck his foot in his mouth again, didn't he?
Oh yeah, you fucked up big time.
Just a regular day.
What did Kiwi do?
He
accused
he accused the
Dank of being coached.
Glober guy, of being coached.
Skeptic Dank, or something like that.
Oh, by the way, I just came in to tell you that I messed up my laws of motion. It's actually the first law of motion, Lemon.
Cool.
Close enough.
Alright, enough for the socializing. Flat Earth Solar, are you about? Are you here?
I am.
Yeah, I'm present.
Excellent. The Ranty's picture is asking the Flat Earthers to build a model for them. Can you help build a model, Flat Earth model, for Ranty and the Globers?
We don't have to, because Bearded's done it for us. I've just posted it in the chat there, and it's just dawned on me. Don't they say that level
It's the craziest shit.
They sure do.
Well,
So
the question
that
is,
footpath
how
that
does
is
it work
on-
on a Flat Earth model? Solar.
So listen,
Oh, go on then.
this what he's done here is already on a curved surface because it's level. So the 80-meter curvature is already in this distance.
Yeah.
You got
You'd
the
expect
calculations
about
right, Lemon.
100 meters of curvature
Isn't it?
down the way.
Double check with Lemon the calculations.
No, they say level is curved.
Yeah.
Every time I want to forgive you, you go and say something else.
Well, I can't help it, mate. My brain won't fucking stop.
Do you want to forgive?
And then I realised the curvature is already in the picture.
Brian.
In the picture, Mabbit. Let's go through the boring ass numbers. Virtually none over that distance.
Yeah, real quick.
Curvature is already there in scale. It's already in there because it's on a flat level surface, which is curved.
Hold on. Real quick, Brian, can you hear me?
Very low.
Yeah, go on,
Brian,
you're a bit low.
you're bearded.
Try again, Bearded. Or don't, doesn't matter.
Oh, is that
Maybe he's
Bearded
fixing
Dragon?
As I understand it, if this was on a flat level surface, level follows the curvature of the Earth, does it not?
Yes, that's what they say, yeah.
So the curvature drop is already in this image. Does that image look like anything that Ranty presented?
What are you saying? That Ranty's picture wasn't of the Earth?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Bearded Dragon. Yeah.
Oh, great. Brian, I didn't shrink the Earth to be 1,000th of its size.
No, I never said you did.
Then. So,
well,
saying
having
that
said that,
whatever, if you
yes,
said one,
you did,
I'm
because
going
you
to
shrunk.
that didn't work. So here's the thing: I didn't shrink. God damn it! Hold on.
Come on, let's hear Bearded Dragon's. He's been waiting an hour, Brian. Let's get it. Oh, quickly say your point before.
Okay, I'm back.
he's
Hi,
ready
how
now,
you
he's
doing?
ready.
All right. So, even if you were to sit there and say, "Hey, the Earth is round, and the curvature is X," right? I didn't shrink the damn Earth, so it doesn't apply in this case. So no, Brian, it doesn't prove that other than the fact that this is what all that shit would look like on a flat Earth.
Okay. Hold on, let me just go through it with you then. What is the distance between the tower and the mountain in your image?
Brian, the distance from the observation point to there is 81 meters.
Right.
You know this. You heard this. You even
Come
said
on,
it out
Bearded
loud.
Dragon, just
Why
go
are you
through it
asking
with him.
questions that
Because
you
we've been waiting to ask
you
you.
answered the question. 81 meters. How
Yes.
far is it in reality to the mountains?
In Ranty's or in the photo, whatever, it's 81 kilometers.
So you have shrunk the Earth by 1,000%.
No.
Why?
This is what you don't understand. I didn't
Audible
shrink
face
the
palm.
Earth to do this.
You have, mate, because you've reduced the distance by 1,000%.
Oh my God. How hard is this to understand? I didn't shrink the Earth. If the Earth were curved, I didn't make that curve happen.
Right, then these images should be 81 kilometers apart then.
What are you talking about?
You have reduced the scale on the height of the objects by 1,000%, correct?
Not
It's a
1,000%.
It's a 1 to 1,000 scale. Yeah. What about it?
Right. What about the distance? Is that 1 to 1,000 as well?
What?
Is the distance 1 to 1,000?
Yes.
Yes. It's all proportional, except for shrinking the Earth.
So you have reduced the Earth
No,
by 1
Brian.
to 1,000.
Audible face palm
Hold
again.
on. Let Lemon.
How difficult is this to understand?
Lemon, what's
Brian,
going on,
I didn't
Lemon,
shrink
with the
the Earth.
numbers?
Hey. It looked like Bearded Devil had 81 meters to that big white piece of paper, just like Ranty had 81 kilometers. So he did maintain everything 1-to-1 with 1 kilometer, which is actually also 1,000 meters, equaling to scale 1 meter in his video.
So he scaled the Earth to 1 to 1,000. Is that correct?
He scaled the observation. What's the problem?
I can't scale the Earth like that.
He didn't scale the Earth.
You've
What's
just
the problem?
done it.
He didn't scale the Earth. He scaled the observation. What's the problem?
The observation is the fucking Earth, you twat.
But the thing is, he's trying to illustrate what he would see on a flat plane, so he's not trying to scale that part of the Earth for the illustration. He's just showing what we would expect on a flat surface over that parking lot or whatever. That's what he's trying to illustrate. He's only scaling the size and the distance, but that's it.
If he were to scale the Earth, that parking lot, instead of being flat, would be curved. That's the whole point.
It's level, so it is curved.
Mabbit, everybody. The drop does not scale in a linear fashion. It's a power function.
Oh, you're gone. You said you were going to go.
Curve did make a good point, though, that the Earth would have to be smaller, and the curvature rate would also change, too, so you can't quite scale that, because it would be a smaller Earth or whatever.
Yeah, I would have to get either a large hill, right, Brian? A large hill to illustrate something similar to that.
An 8-mile wide ball.
Roughly. So
yeah.
That I wasn't shrinking
1 to
the Earth.
1,000.
Yeah, and if it were flat and I'm doing it, that's the whole thing. Brian, I'm not trying to prove the Earth's a globe with this. You get that, right? This isn't a globe proof.
What are you trying to prove then?
Wow. If the Earth were flat, this is the observation that you would observe.
Yeah, but when I said to you, put in the drop rate then.
Dude, I'm not trying to figure out if the Earth curves. I don't know where you get that from.
So you're just trying to prove it's not flat?
Yep.
He was illustrating how the shorter object in the foreground would be below the taller object in the background if it were a flat plane, according to his understanding of what, if anything, flatness is.
It's close enough, but it's not necessarily my understanding. It's just it's an observable reality. I can't turn
the
off
only thing that you're but the thing is, your understanding of reality is hampered because you don't have the diffraction limit, where a horizon would form in the foreground, and I would say that would block huge amounts of the mountain beyond.
Oh, that doesn't blurriness doesn't block anything like that, Lemon. You can't have blurry in the foreground block something in the background like that. It doesn't work that way.
The diffraction limit, optics, this stuff can get very complicated.
It's not, and I have entire videos proving that it's not. So, yeah, that excuse doesn't work, Lemon. It doesn't work when you're looking up.
It works.
It doesn't work when you're looking down. Your problem is you keep associating that limited floor bullshit from Life is Short. Hate to tell you, man, but if it was a flat Earth, the floor does the same thing as everything else. It doesn't magically stop doing the thing.
If the Earth were a globe, you'd have a geometric horizon.
Don't care.
You are the only one that claims there isn't one.
Chemo, you may constantly have balls on the brain, but I don't.
Yeah, well, we've proven that it's not a globe.
Fine. Now, if you want to go with that, show me how it's flat.
Don't have a model.
We say that the swan is black. You say that it's white with this observation that's saying we're seeing as far as we should, but now you're tagging on an additional, bit of nonsense, saying that a tall object in the background looks shorter than something shorter in the foreground because it's curving down and away from the observer. That's all that you've done. You've painted the black swan white and added an additional nonsense claim. That's all.
Lemon, should we take the curvature to the Blackpool Tower into account, or from the Blackpool Tower to the mountains?
Well, a simple way to look at it is basically 3.57 times your square root of height in meters.
No, listen to what I'm saying. Should we take the curvature up to the Blackpool Tower, or should we take curvature from the Blackpool Tower and up to the mountain?
It would have to be from the observer up to the mountain ultimately, if we were on a ball, which we're not.
Blackpool Tower is supposed to be dropping away at the same rate as well.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, that's true.
And
so we need to deduct the distance from the 81 kilometers. We need to deduct the distance to the Blackpool Tower, because that's the variation we're getting is from the Blackpool Tower position to the mountain, not from the observer through the Blackpool Tower, which would have dropped anyway with the mountain that amount of rate.
Nah, but you do use an accountant, correct?
Well, Mrs. does it all, mate.
Okay, that's good. As long as your hands aren't in it, you're not likely to go to jail over it. That's good.
No, not yet, mate.
Carry on. Let's build this model.
The main claims that we need.
So what?
Well, the
what
main
was
claims we need to handle. What's that?
This is some mafia accounting you're doing here, Mabbit. Mafia accounting.
60 kilometers then.
Yeah, 60 from the tower to the mountain, 80 total. 20 to the tower, 60 from the tower to the mountain, 80 total. 80 kilometers-ish.
And there's 1.6 kilometers to the mile.
0.6 miles to the kilometer. For every 6 miles, there's 10 kilometers, roughly.
So 1.6 kilometers to the mile, is it?
I think
that's
so.
That's a
I'd have to look at the math.
approximation.
Divide by 1.62. Oh,
you're trying to get the miles, 80 divided by 1.62. I just multiply 6 times 8 for about 48, roughly 50 miles, roughly.
I want 60, not 80. 37 miles. So 37 miles times that 8 inches. So cancel that. 8 inches.
Wait,
times
60
by 37.
60 for what?
Times by 37.
60 for what?
Trying to get 80 kilometers into miles, I believe, based off of his numbers.
80 kilometers is about 50 miles.
60.
Why 60? 60 for what? What is 60?
From the tower to the mountains.
What? Okay, what are you doing with that?
The tower and the mountains.
That's 60 kilometers. So 60 kilometers to miles would be 36, 37 miles, yes.
Well, I've got that at 912 feet to drop.
That's not how... Oh, my God.
So you're going from the tower to the mountain for 37 miles. Oh, the drop from there to there, I guess that's correct, sure.
912 feet.
You can't calculate drop this way, Brian.
I've always been told 8 times the amount of miles times the amount of miles divided by 12.
Yeah, but you don't start from
the observer, and you got to take into account observer height.
No, that's to
you don't just take the distance from one object out there in the distance to another object in the distance, calculate drop in that distance, and say that's the drop from the fucking observer.
912 feet from drop from tangent, yes.
I was right, yeah? So, what's that divided by 1,000?
912 divided by 1,000?
Yeah, why?
You'd move the decimal place over to the left 3 places. So it'd be 0.912.
Of an inch?
What?
0.912 inch?
Of a foot?
Oh, you're trying to get that scale. I got you. If you wanted to scale it down to what's his name's bearded devil's thing, roughly it would be 912 divided by 1,000, but it doesn't quite scale like that directly, so it gets a little complicated. You'd have to stop at 912. You wouldn't be able to scale it down, I don't think.
Yeah, it's gone down to 0.912 of a foot.
Yeah, that would be if it was directly scalable, but I don't know if it's directly scalable because of all the weird stuff happening with the units.
Lemon's right. Weird stuff happens. It's not quite scalable like that.
Weird shit happens.
Okay, so let's see what, if anything, can scale. Let's go with this and see what, if anything, would scale. The general equation for the amount of drop that you'd expect, Brian, is this. The radius of whatever Earth you're talking about, big or small, R, radius R, times 1 minus the cosine of however far along you go on that ball, say 1 mile in this case, or whatever, times 360 divided by the circumference of whatever ball you're dealing with. So if you want to scale it, I guess you'd have to reduce the size of the Earth by 1,000 or something.
Right, so 24,901.
So, okay, let's try reducing the circumference of the Earth down by 1,000 and see what we get. When you reduce the size of the circumference by 1,000, it'd be 24901 divided by 1,000, moving the decimal over. It'd be like 24.901.
Just stick why not just stick to the real mathematics?
Divide the surface area.
Why don't you just stick to the real mathematics? Just stick to the real mathematics. There's no need to fuck around. You know the real mathematics. Just stick to them.
Shut up, Ranty. This could get me back on the globe.
You're scaling the wrong stuff.
Yeah, try scaling the surface
Hold
area.
on. Lemon's brain's ticking over.
It's 198 million square miles. Divide that by whatever.
It is an interesting exercise to see how stuff scales, because, Brian, you can only scale stuff like this if it's addition or subtraction. The moment you have stuff like multiplication or cosine or stuff like that, it's not directly scalable in that same way a lot of times.
If the amount of drop was linear with respect, if the amount of drop was linear with respect to distance, that would work. But in this case, it's not. The amount of drop with respect to distance is non-linear.
Is it exponential?
No, it's a power function. Well, accurately, it's geometric, but it's a mess.
It's a squared function.
That's the approximation, yeah.
It increases with distance.
It increases ever more, yes, but it's not entirely accurate to say exponential.
Well, that's what. Yeah, well, we've got in my radio transmitter, we've got an exponential function, an exponential curve, which increases the more you move your input.
That's one way to get something that increases more with more stuff. The higher it goes, the higher and higher the rate increases. But that's not the only way. Exponential function, power functions, geometric.
And it's getting complicated because now we only have an Earth of 24.901 feet in circumference. Miles in circumference. So I guess we could see the curvature per mile squared for that 24.901 mile Earth. I guess we could try that.
Yeah,
we could have a marathon right around the Earth.
Yeah, but the observation's not over an Earth of that size. It's kind of an irrelevant
So what's the curvature rate on a 24-mile round Earth then?
It's getting complicated
1
because
mile.
are desperately trying to avoid answering the real point.
It's 0.1 miles per mile squared. When you make that into inches, you multiply that times 5,280 for the feet, and then times 12 for the inches. You get 7,951 inches per mile squared, which is roughly 662 feet per mile squared for an Earth of that size.
Well, that's basically times the 8 inches by 1,000.
That could be correct. Roughly 951. It's rough, but it's close. Yeah, so, roughly 8,000 inches per mile squared.
I think we all have to understand that there's more forces here in play when we're measuring the shape of the Earth.
8,000 miles squared.
Yes.
You can't just measure the Earth with a ruler or like with a bubble. It's more than just that.
Come on, Fatter.
8,000 inches.
Keep going from the sublime to the ridiculous.
Did you mean 8,000 inches squared?
8,000 inches times the miles squared, kind of.
No, but it wouldn't be 8,000. It would be 0,008, because we're talking about a scaled down model and not a scaled up model 1,000 times.
No, we've got to
they're
scale
trying
up
to they're trying to create a tiny Earth. I don't know why, but that's what they're trying to do.
So then
the
8 inches per mile must
80
be
kilometers
divided
to 8
by,
meters.
not
So the
multiplied
curvature's
by.
going to be a lot greater.
Let Solar in, Brian. He has something to say.
Well, yeah, but they're still using miles as their distance measure.
Don't you hear Solar?
Yeah. I'm just pointing out that they're using miles still. They're not scaling down the distance at all, so they have to scale up the amount of drop.
Correct. So you'd have to scale on all aspects. So you'd divide a mile by 1,000, and you'd get to 1.6 meters. So for each 1.6 meters, you would have 0,008 inches of drop. It would be a thousandth of everything.
Yeah, so you'd end up with 0.008 inches per 1/1,000,000th of a mile squared, which doesn't make any sense. Might as well just keep it at 8,000 times a mile squared.
Not a millionth of a mile.
That's how you scale the distance down.
You're squaring. Okay, sure.
Tomato.
No, this is good. This could get people back on the ball.
Or you're making
keep on avoiding the real question.
60 meters.
What do you mean by
Tower is higher
you?
than the mountain.
No model will bring flat earthers back to the board, but Lemon, I think, will be able to help you guys with.
Apparently, it has.
Lemon,
Name.
do you know?
Brought Ranty
Do you know
around.
the curvature rate for a kilometer?
It's like 0.08 meters per kilometer squared when you redo the formula with kilometers. So it's like 0.08 meters per kilometer squared, roughly.
So how much would that be if you times it by 1,000?
Transpose it into cubits, Lemon.
So
times that by
you're
1,000.
0.08 times 1,000. You move the decimal over 3 to the right, so it becomes 80. 80 whatever. 80 meters.
Still worth mentioning, it's
kilometer.
totally pointless to try and create a tiny Earth. I have no idea why this is going on right now.
80 kilometers per kilometer.
Hold on, let's scale down the Earth in kilometers.
Because they're avoiding answering the real question.
Small Earth syndrome. That's what it is.
All right, so we have a 40,000 kilometer circumference Earth. Let's get the radius divided by 2 divided by pi. That gives 6,003 kilometers roughly. What was that?
You've got to divide it by 1,000. Oh, go on, do it that way then. Go on.
All right, so we'll divide it by 1,000. So 6.366 divided by. You get 6.366 for the new radius of the small Earth. That's down by 1,000 or whatever circumference. And then let's see what else we do. Multiply it times 1 minus the cosine.
Plus the tangent minus the fractional
Minus the
differential.
cosine of 360 times 1 mile divided by the new circumference, which is 40 kilometers. We get a curvature rate of 0.07 kilometers per kilometer squared.
Minus 47 kilometers.
So that works out to 78 meters, or roughly 80 meters per kilometer squared.
80 meters per kilometer. So
20 feet.
That'd be
20 feet.
But that's only if you scale down the size of the Earth for the new curvature formula. Like the other dude was saying, we got to choose what we're scaling down.
And 1/3 of a hectare.
Yeah. Let's keep it simple and go back to the starting point. You'd expect
why is the tower taller than the mountain?
Well, if we're going to do this 1,000 thing, let's start with the basics. We'd expect on the Earth of this size, kilometer-wise, we'd expect 500 meters of drop down and away from tangent.
Why is the tower taller than the mountain?
Perspective. Get a drone that levitates above the ground and see the relationship, flip and invert. But where the taller object will appear taller
than the mountain.
Perspective, optics. You're too close to the surface.
Why is the tower taller than the mountain?
There are calculators that do this.
Perspective.
Just so you know.
Because shit shrinks in the distance. Obvious.
By an amount that is predictable.
Not always.
And there might be a reason for that.
When there's a discrepancy, then it needs further investigation.
At distances practical locally, any time that you move something twice the distance away, it's half its angular size. That's universal until we get around something, some certain distance where the drop starts appearing.
So I've posted a picture and it proves that the house in the foreground is taller than the mountains behind and it's over water, it's an optical phenomenon. Anything above the central point of the observer or the central point of the focal lens will appear higher and descending downward towards the vanishing point, and anything below the observer's central point will appear to rise up towards the vanishing point. It's a perspective thing.
So that optical effect has an angular component to it that doesn't change with different optical devices. Wonder why that might be.
It does change with different optical devices based on their aperture size.
Demonstrate that.
It's called the Rayleigh's criterion. It's
no, what I mean is
really
demonstrate
debatable.
that the horizon and things obstructed in the distance is different for different optical devices.
What do you mean by different optical devices?
Eyes, cameras, telescopes. Those things are three different kinds of optical devices. No demonstration exists to date. Their eyes, cameras, and telescopes show a different amount of a distant object obstructed by the horizon.
He's just posted a picture.
So to do with angular resolution.
So demonstrate it, because it doesn't exist as a demonstration yet.
Okay, well look in the live
posted
stream.
A picture.
That's not showing different optical devices showing a difference in the amount an object is obstructed. Let me be very clear. What I am asking for is a demonstration where different optical. What I am asking for is a demonstration where different optical devices show a different amount of a distant object obstructed by the horizon.
And your white swan is using different optical devices, multiple devices to show different optical obstruction in the distance. Is that what you're trying to claim? And that's why it's relevant for you to bring up multiple optical devices.
That is not my claim. My claim.
So what's the purpose of the multiple optical devices? How does that have any relevance to us discussing RANTY's
You specifically made a claim that the appearance of a horizon or the amount something appears to be obstructed or dropped has an angular component to it. The only way to differentiate whether or not that's actually true or not is to use different optical devices. So your claim is dependent upon a demonstration that does not exist.
Okay, I see why you brought that up. No, we're talking about a single static image. It matters then not what optical device is being used. There is a perspective optical illusion which occurs anytime, no matter which optical device, and it's relevant or based on the angular resolution of that object that's being seen at whatever distance.
But you change the angular resolution by changing the optical device. We don't see this difference.
We're not changing.
We don't see this difference. You're going to try and interrupt me. That's great. We don't see this difference based on using different optical. We don't see this difference with different optical devices. The cause is not an angular resolution cause.
It's a perspective cause, which Lemon was trying to say earlier. And like I just mentioned,
you specifically said it had to do with angular resolution.
A static image is what is being discussed, not the optical device on which that static image was captured.
But as you have stated several times,
multiple optical devices is disingenuous because that's got no bearing on what we're trying to discuss here. When we're talking about a static image, whereby perspective is always occurring if you are doing line of sight from the observer and not from a third party's observation point off to the side, and you're not looking in the perspective where you get that vanishing point effect versus looking at it from the side. Any image taken in the perspective where you're looking towards the vanishing point will have this effect, where things in the distant background will shrink and things in the foreground will appear even larger than what or angularly their angular size will be larger to you, the observer.
And as I've already discussed before, the amount that something should shrink as it goes into the distance is inversely proportional to that distance change. The thing that you claimed earlier that you still haven't addressed as to whether or not it's even valid is that the cause is something to do with angular resolution. As we have discussed so far, there's no demonstration to back up that claim.
Yeah, that picture debunks argument and Ranty's.
Which picture debunks?
Well,
Negative.
Brian, I read the numbers,
No, that's
and we did.
That has nothing to do with Ranty's. It's a false equivalence. If you want to have a picture debunk it, it has to be to scale. This is clearly not to scale.
Oh, so that dragon is taller than that mountain, is it? Duh.
Talking about the relative distances.
Oh, that man is bigger than that mountain, is he? Duh.
Yeah, you're good.
The objects in the image have a known height and a known distance, so you can calculate where they should be in relation to the image. Chemo, what you've presented there is utter garbage.
So, debunk Ranty. Explain to him your image here and why Ranty's image is not proof of anything.
I'm looking at your hashtag shit.
This is from Flat Earth Solar. Flat Earth Solar. This is Ranty. Meet Ranty. Ranty meets Flat Earth Solar. Flat Earth Solar meet Ranty. Flat Earth Solar. Explain your image to Ranty here, please.
Hold on, wait a minute. Don't be passing it on to somebody else. You posted it, and obviously by posting it, it's the first time I've seen it, which means that you are the one responsible for it. So please tell me, what is the distance to the so-called dragon, and what is the distance to the human behind it?
Do you still think you have a geometric horizon, Ranty?
That's an
deflection noted.
Geometric horizon at 1.22
deflection
from the observer's
noted.
height.
Holy disingenuous.
You deflected away
if
from
you
the question put to you.
Let Solar speak to Ranty.
No. Let Chemo answer this.
It's Solar's picture, Ranty. I reposted.
And you presented it. Yeah. So please tell me about this image. Tell me what it is.
What it does is show that the perspective.
The optical illusion of perspective can cause things in the foreground to appear larger.
Correct.
And things in the distant background to appear smaller.
Now, what happens
You've taken
if you
an
have
image
the measurements? What
of
happens
something, but you were completely puzzled, Ranty, when you were sitting in that live stream with cats. And you were saying, "I can't understand why. Why is this tower appearing taller than the mountains? The tower is closer to you. The mountains are further away."
I'm
and
sorry,
like this picture shows, shit shrinks.
You thought I was puzzled?
Your face was on camera. You could see you were puzzled by it.
You
and
read
your whole
my...
point,
Hold on,
why
wait a
is
minute.
the tower...
Your face was on camera, so...
My face was on camera, so I'm puzzled, right? Okay, so the fact that I was presenting the actual evidence that contradicts exactly what you've just said means nothing to you.
A single picture like hashtag shit
but your face, though, Ranty,
shows you exactly...
Yeah, my hashtag face, whatever. Right, so tell me, how is this image that you've presented in any way, shape, or form relevant to the image of Blackpool?
Do you claim that the image of Blackpool shows that the tower is taller than the mountains? Was that the basis of your argument to assume that the mountain is cut off?
The image shows the tower higher than the mountains.
There we go.
It appears
so
to because
I've
of
shown
drop.
you a picture of something in the foreground appearing higher than things in the distant background, equivocal to that, and you're not able to understand the similarity. That's quite
yes,
concerning.
I'm absolutely able to understand it, except there's a known distance between, the mountains and their elevations, and there's also a known distance between the dragon and the human and their elevations, and I will guarantee you that they do not scale the same, which is why you are getting a different parallax with the dragon being higher in relation to the human, and why you're getting a different parallax between Blackpool Tower and the mountain.
Well, this looks the same as your picture, Ranty. The tower is taller than the
Oh
mountain.
no! Don't step in, Chemo.
Right,
don't
go on,
step in.
Sarla.
Well, exactly that. If you can't understand the basis of
I
the
understand
argument,
it. I've been doing optics for 5 years on flat Earth. I led the way. I don't even know who the hell you are. I would guarantee you don't even have a video out on YouTube. But if you're going to turn around and say to me that I don't understand perspective or understand what I'm looking at right here, I can tell you absolutely that you are insane if that's what you're going to try and claim. You've presented me with nothing.
So
give me a distance
Blackpool
to the
Power.
dragon. Give me a distance
Tower.
to the dragon. Give me a distance to the dragon in your image, and give me a distance to the human, and give me their relevant height and the elevation. Hold on, and give me the elevation.
It's not necessary unless you presume you're on a fictitious ball and you're going to try and factor in some imaginary curvature into this ball.
Who said anything about anything? I didn't speak about anything. I just said, tell me what's in the image. How far is it to the human? How far is it to the dragon? And what is their heights? Go.
Okay. All right. So their heights are stated very clearly on the picture. Now, in the black... Okay, let me just finish the sentence, if you don't mind.
6-inch object, a 6-foot object, 6,000-foot object. What's the distances between them?
So it's not clear from this picture. So, yes, you've got me there. Well done.
Why even present it then? Holy shit! I mean, you've literally debunked your analogy.
Missing. No, because the distances are irrelevant.
Yes, no, they're not irrelevant. They are absolutely
things
absolutely
in the distance.
The distances are irrelevant. We're just going to ignore perspective when it suits us. Flatter Solar 2021.
Well,
we're trying to say
there's no
focus
moderators
on the
here.
Look,
there's no moderators. Are you not a moderator, Chemo?
Yeah, there's no Veach, no Kosher, so don't take advantage. No Kosher would be like, guys. So
take advantage of what? A guy's turned up and he's told me, oh, we have a 6-inch object and a 6-foot object, and he's not given us any distances between them. I mean, how retarded is this? He's not even. I mean, it's also clear that the camera is substantially. I mean, it's like halfway beneath the fucking object in the foreground. I mean, it has no relevance to the fucking observation whatsoever.
But
that's why we're saying get a drone and get above the ground to see if the relationship where the taller object in the background appears shorter is maintained or not.
No, I mean, this guy needs to come in. He needs to present some data that we can work with. This isn't data that you can work with.
Yeah, but it's showing the general relationship. That the general principle is sound.
If I put my hand in front of my face, I can block out an entire solar system. I can block out the whole moon. I can block out the moon and its buddies, right? If I really wanted to, with just my fucking finger in front of my face, right?
What's your response?
Right, and the tower is blocking the mountain and appearing higher than it.
Hold on. Does that mean that my hand...
If you place your hand a mile away,
hold on.
Curvature.
Does that mean that my hand is bigger than the moon?
Probably. No, but it's that the hand can appear bigger than the object beyond, just like the tower. So we need to see if this relationship maintains with a level drone levitating above the ground to see if the relationship inverts or if it maintains like it would on a ball that's descending down and away from the observer.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
I'm just going to know what he just said.
That we check if figments of Lemon's imagination are actually true, because they might be. So we need to check on that.
So,
well, the thing is, perspective is playing so many tricks. We need some sort of tiebreaker, and this observation isn't it.
Right, listen.
If you're proposing this effect, you need to establish it's true. If you want people to believe it's true, you need to establish the truth of it, not tell other people they need to check for
you. Is that Jem?
Right, so the guy that presented the shit shrinks image, right, didn't present any distances between the dragon and the human, right? So my point is relevant. If I stuck my hand in front of my face, could I see the moon? And the answer obviously is no, because my hand is blocking the moon. But the caveat, about all of that is the fact that my hand is not bigger than the moon. It's just the distance between them. And because this guy hasn't presented the distance between these supposed objects, it means nothing.
No, the point is that when it's 2 miles away, you're not factoring in that things shrink. You're thinking it's curvature because you're using a curvature model.
Trigonometry
in a certain drop rate. So when your hand blocks the moon in front of your face, you acknowledge that optically does have a completely
yes. But
disproportionate
however, if you move
relationship
that
with
hand
the moon.
far enough away
But
from your
if you
face,
move it
will be
far,
smaller
suddenly
than
it's
the moon,
behind
won't it?
curvature.
It will be smaller than the moon.
Flat Earth solar, the distances are irrelevant. 2021. We can quote him as saying that.
I mean, it's just unbelievable that you guys. It really is unbelievable that you guys are saying this. All of this.
It can happen over a meter,
Hang
over
on.
a mile, over 10
Stop
miles.
preaching.
The perspective
Stop
always
preaching.
continues.
All of this was in the original presentation. All of it takes account of perspective. You cannot just say any object can block out any other object, regardless of size, regardless of distance. That is not true, is it?
Not regardless, when something is placed
So we
in
need
the
to take
foreground,
account.
it can obstruct things in the background.
Right.
I was quite precise with that.
But there are limits to that, right? If there's a mountain in the background and I have a coin, a small coin, and I stick it right in front of my eye, it will block out the entire mountain, right? But if I move it to arm's length, it won't block out the entire mountain, right?
Okay, and my point was that if you move it to 3 miles, it's behind curvature.
So the distances of these objects need to be taken into account. You can't just say, well, that one's smaller, but that one's further away, so that's why it looks smaller. Can you? Because in the case of the coin, it changes according to the distance, right?
But can you acknowledge my point that if it goes further, you guys assume it's behind curvature and not continuing to shrink proportionally to the way that it grew proportionally when it was placed closer to the observer?
No, I cannot accept that because that is completely untrue. Now, if that was true, if it had shrunk proportionally, then it would still be taller than Blackpool Tower, and it's not. That's why it's not true. That's why we need something else other than just saying it's perspective. And it really is astounding that after all these weeks, none of you have bothered to watch the presentation. All of you are most of you are still just insisting, oh, it's just because it's a long way away. You are pathetic. You do not care one jot about what's true. All you care about is continuing to believe the Earth's flat. Because if you cared just a jot, you would take just a moment just to look and check and think, oh, how big is that thing? How far away is that thing? Should it be taller? But no, just insist that it should be how it is, and we're just assuming drop.
Jem.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, we will not be defeated.
Well, the thing
by
is,
this.
Jem,
Shut up, Jem.
the principles that you're basing this off of are based.
Dishonest cunts, the lot of you.
Well said, Jem.
Jem, the dishonest thing is to try to defeat us with this straw man argument of perspective only and not
like a
factor
child,
in where these objects really are in
making a
relation.
perspective only argument, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he's not up to speed, maybe.
Well, the thing is, Jem, you're forgetting about angular resolution limit, making your optical units that you're trying to impose on this trigonometric analysis disappear. So your math is no longer justified because your units are going to change and disappear and probably be hidden behind the diffraction limit horizon, cutting off the mountain. So your math is no justification, Jem. That's why we need to take a drone that is level, levitate above the surface, and see if the relationship maintains or not.
My math does have justification. I can just move an object a distance away from me and check it. And it does have justification. Your bullshit smushing and crushing or whatever crappy name you've given it today, that doesn't have any justification. It is purely a figment of your imagination. So telling
what are you talking about?
So telling it is purely a figment of your imagination. You have made it up. It is you have invented it like a kid telling a fairy story. It is made up by you.
Incorrect.
We can go to a part right now.
Let's see how this has been established to be true then. If this isn't, if smushing is something other than Lemon's idea, let's see who else's idea is it. Go ahead, Solar. And did you notice, Solar? Did you notice, Solar, that both of your flat Earth friends here are telling you you're wrong on the perspective thing, and they need some extra bullshit that they've each made up their own version of to make this work. You might want to take a note of that. I wonder why they're doing that, Solar. If it's
I
just
think you're
perspective.
mishearing. I think you're hearing a different conversation in your own mind. They're obviously trying to explain that your calculations, in inverted commas, never take into account this perspective reduction of objects in the distance. Or the fact
Yes, this does. This up. You are wrong, dickhead. Dickhead, stop talking. You are wrong.
You
does take
monologue
account.
for 20
Listen.
minutes and I can't have one sentence.
Well, because you're saying something that is
you call me
completely
out and say,
untrue.
come on, Solar.
Go on then, Solar. Go on. Say something completely stupid, untrue, and based on your complete ignorance of this issue.
What
on.
did I say was untrue? Where
You just said that I'm not
conversation.
taking account of perspective, and this absolutely it takes account of perspective. Absolutely, 100% takes account of perspective. Listen, it does not ignore perspective. Perspective does not make the mountains where they appear to be now if the Earth is flat. That's the truth of it.
And it's
you can
incorrect
keep pretending it's
incorrect.
perspective, but you are just pretending. You're just playing
Not
make-believe.
pretending.
You might as well say it's like this because of unicorns, because that is equally true.
No, it's not. Perspective is something which we can all interact with in our daily lives.
Yes, and we are
not.
talking about perspective. Show us the maths for it. I can show you the maths for it. Look, simple. One object is 4.6 times bigger than the other object, but 4.1 times further away. It has to look bigger. It's simple.
Okay, Jim, push that vein back into your forehead and just listen for half a second. The moment that Ranty applied a measuring tape and started trying to calculate the exact precise amount that this object is above that object, or in a far distant picture where perspective has already occurred and there has been a shrinking effect occurring, the moment he applied that ruler to it, he was taking it as exact.
You're just an idiot.
And no longer understanding.
I can't engage. Look, if you're not going to engage with me, Solar, I'm not going to engage with you.
I'm busy engaging with you, but you won't let me.
You aren't, because you've ignored everything I've said.
The moment that you apply a rigid feet and inches value to a distant object, you are no longer considering that shit shrinks due to perspective.
Fuck this guy.
All right.
Vanishing
So let's agree.
point.
Okay, so let's agree. Let's agree that Nathan Oakley's catchphrase is true. Okay, because we're using Nathan Oakley's catchphrase now, aren't we? Because you're one of the you're one of the cult.
It's very concise. No, it's very concise.
Where did we get shit shrinks from then? If it wasn't from fucking Nathan Oakley, retard. You know where you got it, right? So we've agreed that shit shrinks. Now then, can we predict the amount by which shit will shrink according to its distance from us? Is this something that we can predict and calculate?
Yes, it's called the Rayleigh's criterion.
No, it's not. It's not called the Rayleigh's criterion. Can we listen?
It's the point at which the optical resolution limit is reached. It's a simple question, and you're rejecting the answer, Jim.
There is because the answer is yes or no. There are two answers to this.
And there's a way, and I've answered
you. So let's do it.
Rejecting the
okay,
answer.
so let's do it. Let's do your maths. You say this is predictable and we can calculate it. I agree. I can do it my way.
Based on the aperture size of the observer.
I can do it my way, and you can do it your way. Okay, so
which is why a zoom
Solar,
camera
stop
allows
talking.
you to adjust the aperture to then change the focal.
Right. What I want to do is do the calculation. I don't care about your made-up blabber that you are spewing out in order to avoid doing the calculation. Let's do the calculation. We know the distance, we know the height. You agree with me that this is a predictable, calculable effect. Let's calculate it.
Jim, you know you're right, man. You know it.
Are you ready? What should we start with? Solar.
Okay, so do you not understand that you claimed that there was no way to calculate?
So we're not going to
calculate. I told you there is a way to calculate it.
Okay.
There is a way.
I'm going to have to stop you again. I said we agree that it's calculable. I said repeatedly, I have a way to do it, you have a way to do it. And what do you say? Oh, so you say it can't be calculated. I did not say that. Why are you not listening to me? This is why I say you're not engaging with me. I didn't say that. I didn't say anything remotely close to that. Where did you get that idiotic nonsense from?
From trying to follow your incoherent babblings.
Just calculate it, Solar.
Show us how you calculate it.
I have a short.
Shut up!
So that's a straw man. That's an absolute straw man. That you're muting me. You're holding up a fake argument, and then you want me to try and address your straw man.
So did we agree?
Listen,
do you agree
Jen, we were talking about angular resolution limits.
Okay, so let's calculate it according to the angular resolution limits. Let's calculate it. Well, where do we start? Come on.
Can we calculate it?
Well, the point was that is not being calculated.
Okay, well, we're going to calculate it now. We're going to include that in the calculation since you say that that's required now for perspective. So let's do it. How do we do it? Solar. Hello.
Am I off mute again? So when are you
haven't
going to
been on mute. I haven't muted you at all in the last 2 minutes. How do we calculate it?
So
let's start with the height of Dow crack.
At a certain distance, things become unresolvable.
Listen, I'm not interested in your blabber. You say it can be calculated. I agree. Let's calculate it. Why is this so difficult?
Because once again, you're not going to be using. You're going to be using.
You're doing it, Solar. I'm not doing it. You're doing it. You're doing the calculation. You are showing us, because we've done it wrong, you are showing us how to do it correctly. Right, we've got 778 meters at 81 kilometers. Tell us what we're going to do with those numbers to calculate this correctly. Away you go.
Well, this is exactly the point I'm trying to make, is that these kind of calculations are not made. The Rayleigh's criterion, in its strictest definition, talks about two light sources and about at which point you can no longer resolve the two light sources and they become merged as one. And therefore, it is slightly different to us trying to calculate Blackpool Tower at, say, 20 miles from the observer and then a mountain range at 60 miles from the observer.
Can we calculate this or not?
So to calculate it accurately,
is this calculable or not? Just say yes or no.
I would say no, because we don't have all.
So a minute ago it was yes, but now you've changed to no. Okay, no problem. So what you're saying is that how listen,
what I said.
Listen.
Okay,
accurately. What do you mean accurately? So you're saying we can't do it accurately enough to make a determination from it?
Okay, so as soon as you're going to start calculating, for example, like refraction, you're going to use 7/6R. And you're not going to use any atmospheric conditions, therefore rendering the 7/6R calculation slightly inaccurate. Slightly. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make is that when you're not taking in optical considerations
we're
into
not
a
doing
feet and
anything.
mile distance of Earth curvature, where some mountain is supposedly behind a curvature, then you're
Solar.
being disingenuous to not say that it's
Solar.
calculate
Please
it
stop
accurately
talking. We are
when there are
not doing
variables
the
missing.
calculation.
Simple.
You are. Yeah, I keep saying to you, how do we do the calculation? And you go, but you won't take account of this and you won't take account of that. Fine, we won't. You're right. Tell us how to do it correctly. That's what you do the calculation. I'm asking you for your method. So stop telling me about how crap my method is. I want your method. And now you're telling me it seems there is no method. It's impossible. Is this true or not? How is this so fucking difficult, you spastic?
I'm sorry.
He is. He's being extremely dishonest here.
Oh,
Mate, can
saying,
we calculate it? Please tell me. Can we calculate it or can we not calculate it?
You can calculate anything you like. You can calculate anything you like. It doesn't mean that
Oh my
calculation is
God.
accurate.
All right. Let me say it again. Solar, can you calculate it?
And let me speak nice and slow. Can I do it accurately? No.
Okay, so what you're saying is
there a way that we can piece together slightly inaccurate versions of something through calculation? Yes, there is. But is there an all unifying
will that be accurate enough?
that brings in atmospherics, optics, and feet and inches distance and all of those considerations all at once, and doesn't presuppose a spherical curvature to the baseline? If you could figure out how to meld
not
all
me,
of those
you Solar, not
together.
me. It's not how I figure it out. It's not if you can figure it out.
Okay, the
it's
you
you.
is
Right, let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the
This
point.
is their new argument, man.
Let's get back to the point. Let's get back to the point. You're saying it can't be done accurately, but it can be done sort of inaccurately. Is the inaccuracy good enough to make a determination about the ground over 81 kilometers in this photograph?
Absolutely not, if you're going to start referring to inches and feet at the end of your calculation.
So what you did was you said that this is just an effective perspective. This is how it should look according to perspective. And now you're saying to me, actually, I have no way of knowing if that's true because I have no way of calculating accurately if that will be true or not. Is that right?
I do.
Yeah,
no,
that's their new
I have a
argument.
way to calculate it, and it's by dropping down to 1 feet, whereby I can bring that supposed geometric horizon all the way to 1.22 miles. And then I could conduct these experiments at a much more localized
You're not
range
listening, are you?
to see
You haven't listened to
that
one
definitely
goddamn
in the
thing
black
that's
swan,
spoken.
the horizon is not where it appears to be, which means it isn't a geometric horizon. In the
Of course
first
not, you
instance.
idiot. Geometric
But
horizon
yet
is not
this
the apparent horizon.
white swan
They're two different things.
is meant to be saying
Oh,
that the
I'm
mountain
muting
is
this
dropping
boy.
behind.
It's the same with
horizon.
all of them in there. They're just
I would
all
just kick
they're all in this weird cult that they're just
I'd kick him.
incapable.
I mean,
I didn't kick him.
No, I would. But my
It's a
face
cult
is one.
free thinker.
Shut up, man.
The thing is, you can't math the crap out of it because you can't math angular resolution properly.
Why did he say he could calculate it?
I don't know. He was being talked over so much. I don't know.
No.
Because he needed to be. He was just blathering on about nothing, and he would not stay on the point. And probably I was a bit rude.
Did he get
Where
kicked?
the fuck did Crybaby go?
Who kicked him?
I didn't kick him.
I know. I'm just saying who did. What happened?
Why do you assume he was kicked?
I'm not. I'm saying what happened.
Well, it was kind of an
No. When you say who kicked him, you're fucking assuming right there in that statement that he was kicked. Chemo.
Maybe I am,
Don't
maybe
give me
I'm
this
not.
shit right now.
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Point is, where is he?
I think Spurs kicked him. I wouldn't be surprised.
He was.
Can you check the logs? Will that show? Did Chemo kick it because he was getting his ass handed to him?
He wasn't kicked.
Embarrassing platter so bad.
The last log is I muted him at 23:53.
God damn it.
So he did leave.
Well, the thing is, we can't math model this. We can do some general predictions, but it's not going to quite, match up to our pretty little math. It's just not going to do it.
Are capable of math because you're dishonest.
But he was contradicting himself, and he knew it I guess that's why he left, because he knew on the one hand he was arguing this is how it should look, and on the other hand, when I say to him, okay, let's do the calculations so we know how it should look, he's like, oh, well, we can't do that. Well, then you don't know how it should look, do you? So,
yeah, because like,
but what I find so frustrating, Kimo, I'm sorry if I blasted him out, but I just find it so frustrating that they all just keep coming here saying, oh, big things, shit shrinks. You know what I mean?
You saved Ranty again from getting,
It's willfully ignorant.
That's the
bullshit.
second time, Jem, you've
I wouldn't
saved
apologize
Ranty.
for it. He needed that. He fucking needed that.
Well, the thing is, this models how we can't quite math model the crap out of this. Perspective is a thing, and the angular resolution limit are a thing, but they appear to be defying our mathematical expectations. That doesn't mean that they're not things. It just gets rid of the mathematical positivism, Gem, where we have perfect numbers that match perfectly to reality. At best, we'd have generalized predictions, but that's all. We still need to check them with a laser.
We have now.
Them by getting higher and seeing if those relationships hold or if they're changing and warping due to perspective.
But I'm happy to take anything into account that you guys want to take into account. But all you do is what Solar did, which is complain that things haven't been taken into account, and then provide no means of what should be taken, no reference for what should be taken into account or how to take it into account.
I don't know if we can do that unless we have unchanging visual units, Jem, and with everything converging, merging, and disappearing at the diffraction limit, I don't think the math can do that. It can give generalized predictions, sure, but we still need to explore this over a flat plane.
There's no flat plane to explore it over, you moron, and you know it.
Ranty's thing was explored over a flat plane. The predictions were made that it's based on a flat plane. The whole claim surrounding it is based on assuming flat plane.
But his claims are unjustified, Jem, because he does not have unchanging visual units. He has things that are merging, converging, and disappearing over a flat plane, making his math highly unjustified.
You cannot.
I don't think it is, because we can test it with objects. We can just get an object and test how big it is, and then change its distance from us and test how big it is again. We can.
But that relationship breaks down. That's where the mathematical positivism breaks down.
Mathematical positivism. What the hell is that?
According to you, it does, because you invented smushing and mushing because you want to pretend that the Earth's flat. But that isn't that isn't a real thing, Lemon. It's not established to be true in any way. It is entirely a figment of your imagination, and you have no way of accounting for it. So unless
it's what we see when we look down the hallway. And the thing is, since you haven't accounted for it, your models are inadequate.
So how do we account for it then?
Well, we're not going to be able to do it mathematically.
All we have to do to see this in action is look down the hallway. It should be easy to calculate. So let's calculate. So how do we calculate it? You won't.
We can try using some math models, but math needs unchanging units. Mathematical positivism says that these numbers that we calculate match perfectly to reality. That's only justified if you have unchanging units, which we don't have with perspective, making objects effectively disappear and your units of vision appear to disappear. That math is no longer justified unless you have unchanging preserved units for all of the counting. You do not have that.
So every time you look down the hallway, it's all a bit different, is it? Bit of a mystery what's going to be at the end of the hallway today. Could be any old shit. That's what you're saying.
Well, we're going to need some better models.
Well, you provided that model. You said all you have to do is look down the hallway. And now I'm saying, well, we can look down the hallway, use that to figure out how to make the calculation. You'll say, oh, no, we can't just do that. We need better than that. Why do we? If all we have to do is look down the hallway to see this smushing and mushing happen, let's do it. Let's measure the effects of smushing and mushing, and then we can take account of them. But of course, you know we can't, because it's a figment of your imagination.
Let's step back from the mathematical positivism and just declaring that our math models are adequate and accurate 100% and see if we can come up with a better model that might be a little flatter. Let's explore this a little bit.
What the hell is mathematical positive?
I'm happy to move away from the mathematical positivism. That's the problem, I feel, is when flat earthers keep coming in here telling us that this is mathematically, positively, mathematically what we should see because of perspective. Because that's not fucking true. But it's you guys that are bandying around the mathematical positivism. It's just when every time I actually ask you for the maths, I don't get any.
And that includes you too, Lemon, because you've been trying to maths this problem for days now.
Well, we're not making mathematically positive claims. We're not making a prediction. We're just making predictions based off of logic and reason and the internal consistency of the mathematically positive claims of the globers, that there should be predictable within, a certain amount of range, 8 inches per mile squared of curvature on the ball. You see globers trying to fluff the numbers with refraction and other, philosophical excuses that make the math break down. So let's go back to reality, just in case these models are missing something, just in case the numbers are off, flat or round, with something else.
I mean, you're so full of shit. You really are.
To remind you, nobody talked about no 8
Lemon. You've been
inches.
trying to math this problem for days.
Nobody talked about no 8 inches. We were talking about flat Earth. No one considered the globe even.
What the hell is mathematical positivism, Lemon?
Yet again, it's saying that our mathematical calculations have to match reality 100% in a 1-to-1 correlation. That math can somehow predict reality because there's so much of a match between math and our numbers and reality. I don't know if that's the case with this perspective trig at all.
It is, actually.
It is. Our math predicts reality pretty damn well.
Yeah, the one thing it does do is it disproves that the Earth is flat. Because if the Earth was flat, those mountains would be significantly higher and be higher than the tower that's in front. That's the whole point of this observation that you tend to ignore.
Well, yet again, for math, you need to have preserved units that are there throughout the counting.
There are preserved units. They're there throughout the counting. It's called
disappear. That is no longer justified. So how do you account for the 0.02 degree of angular resolution diffraction limit that effectively makes objects disappear? How do you account for that? You do not. Therefore, your math is unjustified.
Excuse me. Can we see the tower? Can we see the mountains? Good. Then shut the fuck up and calculate for me.
This is not an angular resolution issue. What units are not preserved, Lemon?
The units of vision that you're looking out over. 1 inch of visible space will effectively converge, merge, and disappear if it gets far enough away from the eyes.
No, Lemon, no. The units are preserved. Height and distance.
No, they're not. If they were, then you could see every bacteria that was around you. You could see everything that exists. You do not.
You're
After
a
certain limit, that thing is gone. So how do you math the crap out of that?
Lemon.
We are not looking at bacteria. You should not have the
privilege of speaking on here.
We are not looking at bacteria. We are not looking at things we cannot see because of angular resolution. Can we see the tower? Can we see the mountains? The answer is yes. So please shut the fuck up about angular resolution for a while.
You guys can't even get straight whether or not an object converges toward the level of the eyes or whether it just disappears into its own midline like a balloon.
Oh, be quiet.
Is this really a worthwhile conversation, Jim? What do you think?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't really listening.
Well, I mean, again, it's
London Bird's bullshit.
Well,
this is not worthwhile.
Be grateful. He's helping you build a model. What more do you want?
I know, and he has fought valiantly today, and under heavy fire from people like me. So
reality.
I'm always
Lemon's an absolute bullshit liar right now.
I know, but I'm always appreciative of Lemon because I have
Jim,
to say,
it's okay.
I do like.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
He's the closest thing you've got to a model.
It's okay to call out the liars, Jim. I know you.
Can we see the tower? Can we see the tower?
If it was for me, I would tell Lemon to stop building the model. It's reification, but because he's good with numbers, he may as well give you something to think about.
It's not reification. You have no idea what reification is.
It's misplaced concreteness.
No, that's not what reification is.
The idea that the Earth is dropping over that horizon or around
that's not what reification is.
Misplaced concreteness. Trying to model a flat Earth that we've never said we have one. Ridiculous.
It's misplaced confidence with his ability to do maths to sort this problem out.
So, I mean, the word will be out now that sneakily you tried to get us to build a model.
Because you have no model.
That is so cunning. All this
you
time
have no model.
when we're asked, how does this work?
The thing is, you say you have no model, yet Gleam was on my ass all day yesterday saying that you have a model. So you guys need to get together. Now that Ranty's gone, you need to get you, QE, Gleam, a few of the other high up flat earthers, and decide whether you have a model or not, and then come back in later. Okay?
No,
Gleam has a model.
We're scientists, and
you're not scientists. If you were a scientist, you would have a model.
If you were a scientist, you wouldn't be a flat earther, Kibo.
That's correct too, but
yes, and as scientists, these kind of things just require scientific experiment. So, like I say, good luck with your model, Ranty, because what I understand, this is what you guys are after, and obviously there I am again pointing out these things.
You're not pointing out anything that you don't know. All that you're pointing out is that you do not understand what a scientific model is.
Yeah, because I was
think it's something you made in third grade.
Pat's was like so confident in this position because he wants a model. He's saying you can't model this, and of course we've never claimed to have any models. So
Gleam claimed all yesterday that he has a model for the flat Earth. They claimed that there are multiple models. So, like I said, you guys need to get your acts together and decide whether you have a model or not.
Well, then
don't have a model, Chemo. Then you're clearly not anywhere near science.
Gleam can debate Ranty and explain how that mountain works on a flat Earth, right?
Well, the answer is it doesn't work on the flat Earth.
Well, there you go. You see? That's the point. Not going.
It doesn't work on the flat Earth. There's no way that a mountain that should be higher than the tower on the flat Earth can be lower on the tower on the flat Earth. No way.
You should say the full sentence. It doesn't work on a flat Earth model.
It doesn't work on the flat Earth, period.
On the flat Earth model, yeah?
On the flat Earth.
Flat Earth, Chemo.
On the flat Earth reality, if the Earth was flat, it would not work out.
On the flat Earth model. It can't be modeled, yeah?
It would not work out if the Earth was flat.
Yes, on a flat Earth model.
It is on the flat Earth, it would not work out, period. You heard my statement.
What about the flat Earth model?
You have no model.
Does it work?
So it doesn't work out in reality.
It doesn't work, right?
You said that we don't have a model.
Yeah,
do we have a model or not?
Any model put forward, it doesn't work, yes?
That's correct.
That's why you guys say it doesn't work on a flat Earth model.
That's why it doesn't work on the flat Earth, period.
I have a model, right?
Oh, it works.
You say you don't have a model. Do you have a model or not? You have to decide. You can't talk out both sides of your mouth.
No
I understand you. That's your whole thing. Is there a model or not? Yes or no?
What model?
So answer, is there a model? Yes or no?
There's a globe Earth model.
Is there a flat Earth model? Yes or no?
Not one that works. No, doesn't work.
Okay, thank you. So then, therefore, you have an invalid hypothesis. And welcome to the globe Earth.
Welcome to the globe Earth model.
The globe Earth model is very good at showing what happens on the reality.
Try to get what you're saying correct. Welcome to the globe Earth model. This doesn't work.
No, welcome to the globe Earth model. Welcome. No, I didn't say anything about the model. I said welcome to globe Earth.
Model.
Because the model. No, not the model. See, you don't understand what a scientific model is. If it works on the scientific model, it works on the in reality.
All right. What's the radius?
You know what the radius is. Why are you asking me questions that you already know, Ran?
In your model.
Why are you asking me questions that you already know?
Because Mr. Sensible and Dr. Bob says the Earth could be bigger ball.
No, I doubt that. I seriously doubt that.
You see your stuff.
Yes, we do.
Chemo.
We have a scientific model.
You're all over the place. You can't handle real flat Earthers.
Chemo. If they had a scientific model, they would have a hypothesis and everything.
No, you don't know what a no.
Exactly, they can't handle real flat earthers.
Thank you,
know
thank
what
you,
they're talking
Kiwi.
about, well seasoned, ready to take on
buddy,
globe nonsense.
No, sorry.
Yes, that's what we're dealing with here.
No, what we're dealing with here is the fact that you do not have a working model. You admit
exactly,
it.
I accept that. We do not have a
okay,
model.
then therefore you have an invalid hypothesis. You cannot model reality.
I accept that you have a globe model, yes?
Yes.
Yes, you have a globe model. Okay, good. We don't have a flat earth model, yes?
That's correct.
Okay, so keep it like that. That's what we want.
No. That's what do you mean? Then you shouldn't have a flat Earth hypothesis then, because you have no model.
We don't
you
have
cannot
a flat Earth
model
hypothesis.
reality on the flat Earth.
We don't have a flat Earth hypothesis.
No, you can't. You cannot have a flat Earth. You cannot have the flat Earth in reality.
What is he saying?
You can have the flat Earth hypothesis. Okay, take it back. You can probably have the flat Earth hypothesis. However, the model disproves it. If you do not have a model, it means it is not part of reality because you cannot show what happens in reality. You moron.
You do. You don't.
Chemo,
You don't.
Chemo, you do realize.
Oh, shut up, Chemo. You're the biggest asshole here.
Chemo, you do realize.
Laugh all you want,
Chemo.
You do realize. You don't realize. You do. You don't. You do a hypothesis.
Chemo, shut up. Do you have a model?
Chemo is not being a proper.
No, Chemo.
Chemo
knows I have him. Chemo knows I have him by the short hairs. He's trying to wiggle out.
You can't have a hypothesis.
He's trying to wiggle out. He's trying to wiggle out by the short hairs.
You do have. You don't have. You do have. You don't have.
I have you by the short hairs. I do have you by the short hairs.
You do
and you know this. You're trying to wiggle out. You're trying to wiggle out and obscure the fact that you do not have a model.
Yes, we don't have a model.
Likes to be held by
Okay. Therefore, you do not have a valid scientific theory. So shut up and come up with one.
What is the scientific method? Come on.
Scientific method?
Model.
There are many methods as there are many scientists.
Whoa. Since when did you say that?
Oh, Jem, you've got 2 super chats. Have you read them out?
Go make tea.
So we've got another super chat. Yes, is that Jeremy?
No, it was me. Go on.
What's going on?
Super chat.
Well, it's a sticker, I suppose, from JD for $19.99. And he says, JD. So, is that the Benny Hill tune? So look, guys, you have a model, globe model. We have no flat Earth model. Is that clear?
That means you have no valid theory. That means you have no valid theory.
We have no valid theory.
If you cannot model reality if you cannot model reality, you do not have a theory.
Yeah,
science.
We admit we cannot model reality.
Okay, fine. Then why do you continue to?
Why can't I talk?
I'm sorry.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know why you can't talk. You're a flat Earth brethren. Your globe Earth brethren. Sorry, won't let you speak.
Let's science Earth. What do you observe?
It's not because Veach and Kosher are here, are they?
Hello,
You haven't got that excuse, have you?
Timo.
Yes.
Let's science Earth. Come on. What's your observation?
Dude, we're talking about models.
Science. We talked about science.
No, we're talking about the model that Ranty wants us to build for the... Because you guys know...
I didn't hear Ranty talk about any model.
Yeah, he's asking, how does this work on a flat Earth? Explain this, model it. And you heard Jem go through the calculations. We don't have calculations.
You to explain it, not to model it.
Yeah, that's modeling it.
Hey, Chemo, so you're really going to go through willingly go through a rarefication fallacy?
No model.
I know. You say models are rarefication fallacies, so you're willingly going to do that?
We don't have a model. You have a model. We don't. Is it clear?
And why don't you have a hypothesis?
Is it clear that you have the model? You have a globe model, yes?
Then I was Gleam all over me yesterday saying, yeah, you have a model. Do you have a model or not? You and Gleam need to get together and decide.
Look, who are the leaders of the new school? Who do you think they are?
The new school. What the
right. So look, we set the standard. I've told you this before. You should know this. We set the standard. We tell you what is science. We show you how to make the correct measurements.
I'm asking you, and you don't.
You don't know what science is if it hit you in the ass.
We tell you if there will be models that are accepted in the real world or not. I mean, why do you think we're in this position? Because we're able to take on any globe earther who has a wild claim about where they live, and we're able to show that there is no measurable.
And basic science. How about that?
You can double talk yourself all day long, but you just said you're going to model this, and every other day you're saying that models are rarefication fallacy. So I asked you, are you willingly going to do this? So it appears so. Yeah, you're willing. Congratulations.
Okay.
You too.
All right. So, look again. Pay attention.
Yeah. Okay, just avoid it. Like I fucking didn't ask you if this is what you're gonna do, but that's okay.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Let's proceed. Now, obviously, it was very surreptitiously done by the globe community.
I know. New school is
Chemo,
fucking hard getting your ass whooped by the likes of me, but that's okay.
Chemo, what is he even saying? He said, "Is this what you're going to do? What are you doing?" You're saying we don't have a model, and the globe does. What are you actually doing?
What?
Well, I don't understand. He's not even making any coherent sense, though. What are you
don't have a model, Jeremy, right?
Are you really going to do this, though?
What? Do we have a flat Earth model?
I don't know. Is this what? Are you really going to do a reification fallacy?
So, but Gleam says you have a model.
I'm just restating.
Gleam says you have a model, Jeremy. Gleam, I was all in my ass yesterday in Brandon saying that you have a model. So do you have a model or not?
I just want an answer from Chemo. Is he really going to do this to himself?
Yeah, we don't have a
Pure
model.
Argument.
We don't have
Pure argument.
There's no model.
I don't know what he's even arguing with.
There's no model, Jeremy.
Do you have a model or not, Jeremy? I'm taking a vote among flirts. I'm taking a flirt ballot here. Do we have a model or yes or no? Is there a flat Earth model, Jeremy? Yes or no?
I think they have a learning disability or something, Chemo.
That's why I offer
Jeremy,
therapy.
you have a flat Earth model. It's a question. I'm taking a poll of flat earthers.
One of them's making total incoherence, not making any coherent sense. The other one is asking things
not understanding questions
like 10 times.
So well, tell me one more time so that you can cast your ballot.
I know it's.
I want it on tape. I want it in my book. I'm writing a book.
Okay, we have no flat Earth model. Write that down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Lemon and Cleary say you do. So now, what are you going to do about it?
Okay, so look, write this down. The leaders of the new school are saying there is no flat Earth model, and there never will be.
Why did you just say that you were going to model something for Ranty?
Model what?
You said we're going to do this. Those were your words. We're going to do this.
Lemon is trying to model it, but again, he can try to model it if he wants to, but he's wasting his time because.
Well, you said we are going to do this, so that included you, Mouse.
Models are reification.
Okay, you are wasting our time, Chemo. Jeremy, you there?
Chemo would never waste.
I think any flat earther who doesn't provide you a model is probably wasting the globe Earth modeler's time, I would say.
I agree.
I agree with that, yes, because you guys are looking for models. Yes, so I think.
I think
when you have a
scientific theory, you should be able to build a model of it. You should be able to model reality, make predictions from this model, but you cannot because you cannot make a model.
When this image first came out, people didn't realize that Ranty was asking for a model when he says, "How does this work on a flat Earth?" Took most people by surprise. But now we realize a model is being asked for. We don't have to answer it anymore because we don't have a model.
Right, because you cannot make a model, because any model you make is immediately destroyed as being inaccurate.
I'd love to see your scientific...
This means that your scientific theory is incorrect.
Yeah, I'd love to see your scientific model of the globe and have the theory to go with it.
I'll show you. You want a picture of the model?
Yeah, I want the theory, the hypothesis.
No, this is not QE.
The theory, the hypothesis,
this is not QE, you idiot.
All the whole...
This is... Said by the guy cleaning toilets. Tell me how do I tell you how to clean toilets, and then you shouldn't tell scientists how to work?
Model. I'd love to have the science for it.
Right there.
The hypothesis and the science for it, and the model.
Are you going to
What do you mean?
Jeremy, you said before you had Jeremy, you said before you had some objection to biodual experiment. Did you talk about
time? Big
don't be
time
nice,
objection.
but
Let's
don't
talk
say
about
that,
it.
Let's hear you. Let's hear you.
Let's talk about it.
Let's
Now,
hear you. Let's see if
I'm
Chemo
gonna
can
tell you
explain
if
everything
you
to you.
shut the fuck
No,
up.
I don't
Not
have
to
a
me,
model,
Chemo.
Chikey.
Chemo.
No models, I'm sorry.
No, it's your experiment.
Let me tell you what the problem is that I see with this, anyways. The problem is that it's going to take a certain amount of time for the the balls to move a certain distance.
Oh, you were talking
Now,
about Cavendish.
Yeah, what BioDual is going to do. It's going to take these balls a certain amount of time to move a certain amount of distance. So I'm thinking we should